8 or 9 years was Rasmussen. They just came out with a poll that we're 5 up.
Take a look here. This is the number of polls per week that were released. So why is it that on August 18th, August 11th, why are the number of polls going down, the number of polls released? It's because of this. When the polling data fits the media narrative, the polls get released.
Let's bring on Mark Mitchell. Mr. Mitchell, how are you, sir?
Doing really well. Yeah, we nailed it.
Yes, you did.
We really nailed it.
You really did nail it.
Here we go. Former President Donald Trump has maintained his lead over Vice President Kamala Harris and his support for RFK. The latest Rasmussen poll has a two-way matchup. 49% of voters vote for Trump, 44 Harris.
31% of likely voters in the Rasmussen survey say it's likely in the next 5 years America will have a second civil war.
Well, first of all, Rasmussen is like Kool-Aid drinking. You know, they have monkeys, calling people on the phone, and it's nonsense. But
okay.
But aside from that,
okay. This is not nonsense. I heard Oprah do a focus group on 60 Minutes. Oprah, that's not Rasmussen. We're supposed to like Oprah. Okay.
Well, you were right. You were right the first time you came on the program. I mean, you nailed it, man. And so it's like the closest we can do to having a crystal ball. And so we say thank you, Mark.
And a majority, over 60%, support laws against transgender procedures for minors. Now, this finding comes from a recent Rasmussen report survey on Americans' true feeling on the transgender ideology being shoved down their throats.
Tell me what the American people think about this, sir. You've been polling this, Mark Mitchell at Rasmussen.
So Rasmussen is an organization that engages in, polling. It is a polling company, but it's known to be a right-wing, tilted polling company. And they tweeted this out at 8:37 p.m. last night in reference to Donald Trump's mugshot. There we go.
This Rasmussen poll came out over the weekend on possible 2024 candidates. Donald Trump, and this surprised me, don't forget, we're only 8 months into Joe Biden. All right, so this should still be the honeymoon phase. I mean, 8 months is early in a presidency.
Here's why Rasmussen, I think, is the best. They go in and take tough topics and tough issues.
So, again, you could say, we want to see a bigger lead for Trump. Trump +2 is bigger than he's ever done in all of our polling at this point in the election cycle. And it's like literally 2 assassination attempts, your best debate, and the DNC can't get you above Trump. The Kamala Harris campaign must be sweating and acting, begging for an act of God right now. Because in my opinion, that's all that's going to move these numbers.
In 99% of the polls, she's beating him right now. We're 7 months out, but she's beating him.
The polls are all over the place, and they're not.
They're not really. There's one poll, a Rasmussen poll, that shows him up too.
A new Rasmussen poll, in fact, because the people get it. Much of the media doesn't get it. They actually get it, but they don't write it. Let's put it that way. But a new Rasmussen poll just came out just a very short while ago, and it has our approval rating at 55%.
Head pollster Mark Mitchell. Mark, great to have you on the show. You've been telling me you think that these left-leaning pollsters have given Kamala Harris a fake lead. You think that Donald Trump is always, and I want to put this on the board because this is an Ipsos Reuters poll that gave Kamala Harris a 7-point lead. You put that on the board, and you're thinking this was just September 24th.
Donald Trump's going to win. You had the LA Times 1-point race, Zogby 2-point race. Today you had a Rasmussen 2-point race.
We could not have a better guest joining us than Mark Mitchell, the head pollster at the hands-down most respected large polling organization, the most accurate large polling organization. There's big outside groups that do analysis of that. RasmussenReports.com.
The polls were wrong.
Yes.
There were a couple of polls that got it right. Investors Business Daily was right. Rasmussen was right.
Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen polling, by the way. You can follow him directly on X at Mark_R_Mitchell. One of the best follows for polling data out there on the web.
Hello, public opinion aficionados, and welcome to Rasmussen Reports. I'm Mark Mitchell, the head pollster of Rasmussen, and this is Reality Check. And for people who haven't seen this show yet, what do we do here? Well, we're politics and we're news, but we do something a little bit different than everybody else. We go into the context, the political context, the reality of public opinion that decides all of the different things that the political analysts ponder. What makes those things possible or not is public opinion, because this is a representative democracy and we're in a place that we really haven't been before. We're watching literally a war play out against an entrenched, bureaucratic, bloated, and quite frankly, evil deep state. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And we have an absolute insane amount of numbers because we're going to talk history. We're going to talk the history of this battle, the last couple of years, the political context leading up to this engagement. I really think that's what it is, and it's blowing everybody's mind. I was reading a little history today, and I thought this thing might play out kind of like maybe the 100 Years' War, protracted, tit for tat. I don't know. It looks a lot more like when Alexander the Great went up against the Persians. Like, this is utter and crushing defeat against a force twice as big in a single day kind of stuff here. And it's absolutely incredible. So we're going to take a look and listen. The deep state is a really big concept, hard to go into everything, but I pulled out some polls that we haven't really shown or talked about a lot on this show. And mostly we're going to come at this from the angle of our federal law enforcement intelligence agencies. And then also after that, we have an absolutely great guest. You've seen him before, John Fawcett from the former Lou Dobbs Great American Show. He's going to be joining us, I think, at about the half an hour mark. And we're going to have some really fun stuff to react to because, again, this is a white knuckle roller coaster ride. Every single day is too much, just absolutely too much to follow. I mean, seriously, I spent all day riveted to Elon Musk's feed, and I still feel like I'm missing stuff. But we're going to talk about a little bit of a vibe check first. We're going to take a quick look at where we're at, and I think this clip is a good place to start. And, of course, it's not loading. Isn't that great? Unbelievable. Well, thank you, Twitter, but that is done. Here we go. Unbelievable. Elon, you're killing me. Now I got to find the new place to start.
And we've seen consumer confidence this week have a sharp
This was from today's press conference about the cabinet appointment, the cabinet meeting.
Why is that the case?
Well, I think that consumer confidence, if you look at confidence in the nation, it had the biggest increase in the history of the chart. It went up 42 points in a period of like days after the election, since the election. So since the election, the confidence in our nation, including right track, wrong track, the first time it's ever happened where we were on the right track, because this country has been on the wrong track for a long time. So the confidence in business, confidence in the country has reached an all-time high. We have never.
That is the President of the United States, Donald John Trump, citing Rasmussen reports and the absolute astounding record that we had from the tail end of last week and into Monday of this week. Right direction, the measurement of the country's happiness in the political outcomes that they see from their elected leaders, 48%, the highest in all of our history, and positive for the very first time, 48% right direction, 47% wrong track. A public opinion aficionado. He knows who has the best numbers. But here's today's presidential approval snapshot. And don't freak out, folks. Trump's approval is down to 50%. But I think that's where it's probably going to stay, 50% plus or minus 2 points. I think right track is way more of an effective measure because at this point, Donald Trump's had so much slander leveled at him that it's at some point it's mostly about his personality and not his job performance. I think you just really can't escape that. And right direction, wrong track is the very first question we ask in all of our polling. It has no mention of Donald Trump in the question period whatsoever. And it's at 47% today, 1 point away from all-time record highs. And Trump is still doing good. 50 points is like 6 points better than Biden exited at. And, I think we got a string of some overnights that weren't as high. They'll probably tick back up. 78% approval among Republican voters, 63% strongly approve. And he's still doing mid-20s with Democrats and at parity with independents. The people he's lost most over the last couple of days were Democrats and independents, certainly. He was as high as, I think, net +6 with independents a week or two. No change in men versus women, no change in race. And that's once again with black Trump approval, only a few points less than white. That's pretty crazy. And a higher approval, 57%, among Hispanic and other race Americans. But what we're going to talk about is some really incredible wins. Maybe call these Mark's mind blowers or whatever, just to start the show off. Just a few of the things that I think are going to have major ramifications as we witness this incredible.
There's going to be a lot of house cleaning because now we're hearing CIA agents don't like getting Doge, so they're going to sell state secrets to our enemies. What are we going to do here?
I am curious about how they think this is a good tactic to keep their job. They're exposing themselves essentially by making this indirect threat, using their propaganda arm through CNN that they've used over and over and over again to reveal their hand, that their loyalty is not at all to America. It is not to the American people or the Constitution. It is to themselves. And
This is astounding. This interview, if you didn't see it, you should check it out. She covers a lot of ground. She talks about the fact, we talked about this on Monday, the degenerate chat going on between all of our intelligence agencies talking about the absolute sickest stuff on our taxpayer dime. People that also abuse their power and talk about how the people they hate ideologically and how they're going to weaponize the government against them. 100+ of those people are getting fired. And then we discuss not only that, this entire trend of higher ups in these agencies saying, well, no, you can't fire these people. They're just going to go take our secrets to China. If you fire them, they're going to commit treason. Why would we keep them? Like, why would they not be in jail? Maybe we should fire them and then throw them in jail, like track them and then catch them in the act of espionage. But I saw this argument over and over again on Reddit, and it's really incredible. Like, what a stupid argument. You can't fire somebody because they'll commit treason. That's the level of like disingenuousness that we have right now. It's really sick, but there's just so many incredible bits of news. This out of Mediaite, Trump warns 1 million federal workers might be fired in wild Doge cabinet meeting monologue. They're on the bubble. Now, I don't know particularly what that quote means, but I think it means they're in a really bad spot because President Donald Trump warned that 1 million or more federal employees are now on the bubble because of their failure to respond to an email demanding they justify their jobs. Now, there was a little bit of fog of war about this. Elon said anybody who didn't reply by midnight on Monday night would be fired. And then Trump walked it back. And then there was news that some of the cabinet heads, some of the heads of the agencies told their people, no, you don't have to reply. Then Trump said, well, it's up to the cabinet people. But what he's saying now is essentially, yeah, this is a good idea. A lot of these people are probably fraudulent. They probably don't exist. This is a really good way to figure out who's been fleecing the taxpayers, getting fraudulent payments for, employees that might have died or whatever reasons. Absolutely incredible. Then we have this stuff. We looked at Christopher Rufo on Monday, and more is coming out. An NSA whistleblower tells me there's a clique of male to female transgender Marxists who have established a cult inside the agency. I've called the core left, the LGBT core Marxist left, a cult. And here we have like NSA leadership agreeing with that. They hate capitalism, they hate Christians, and they're always espousing Marxist beliefs. It's affected everything. Absolutely astounding. It's as bad as we thought it was. And then there's this, Charlie Kirk, NSA whistleblower explains how, starting in the Obama years, the NSA swerved from being an intelligence agency to full-time DEI. This was a long time ago. I mean, DEI didn't really get into the mainstream lexicon till what, 5-10 years ago? We're talking about way farther back. Employees were hired who never did any work except attending DEI meetings. It's like our government was on the bleeding edge of this. Really strange. How did that happen? How did the government incubate an anti-American mind virus that it used propaganda to perpetrate psychological operations and division on everybody in America? Really far back, like basically overlapping with like Glee. Really crazy. Real employees were given the message that participating in DEI nonsense was the key to getting promoted. That's always how it works. I've seen it in corporate America too. You'll say whatever it takes. If you have no integrity, you'll say whatever it takes to advance your career. That's not how I worked in corporate America. Brutal truth. Brutal truth. Analysts would refuse to provide information on American adversaries who were transgender because it would require using their dead name. The agency needs to be rebooted from the ground up. Well, it just so happens that I have polling questions about Americans' willingness to reboot the FBI from the ground up. But we're going to get there in a little bit. FBI is looking into Comey's off-the-books honeypot operation targeting 2016 Trump campaign. We've talked about this before. I can't get enough of him. Man, this guy, he's one of those people that was on the leading edge. You know, he was one of those people that was probably enabling this stuff, you know, pushing it because he knew it's what his boss wanted, what Obama wanted. It's the new direction, and everybody better get on board. Building a new culture in D.C. I actually found this pretty crazy, but Washington, D.C. leads the nation in percent of people who identify as transgender. Pretty fascinating. That's according to Grok 3. Pretty fascinating. Then there's this. The Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, visits troops and then tours detention facilities at Guantanamo. Like, I really don't know. I really don't know where this is going, but who does that in their first month? Is that something like secretaries of defense have done before? I really don't think it's a tradition or something like that. I know they put an expansion on. Listen, maybe it's just wishful thinking, but they're going after Comey. Maybe they're going to roll them up sequentially. Maybe we're going to see a massive swamp training, and we'll look into swamp training and American sentiment towards that. But maybe this is just burning the swamp. A massive broad spectrum war on our evil kleptocracy. So these are going to be sequential. We're going back to 2016. We actually didn't poll on a lot of this stuff before Donald Trump mainstreamed these ideas. Everybody was just like, oh, shucks. Like, you know, Bush got elected and nothing changed except for a massive war. Oh, shucks. Obama came. Oh, shucks. We got Romney's not going to do anything. No, he's just going to maybe pass an entitlement reform bill. Most disagree with the decision not to indict Clinton. So this was the FBI stepped in and said, well, you know, this email stuff, there's nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. You know, the server in the bathroom or whatever. But we're going here because of favorability ratings of the FBI. And back then, the FBI was not viewed very favorably, 16%. It's actually up since then. But somewhat favorables are at 46%. So if you combine that, that's, what's the math? 62%. 62%, a strong majority of U.S. likely voters had at least a somewhat favorable impression of the FBI, and only 28% unfavorable. Somebody make a note of that. Somebody write that down, because we're going to revisit these. And let's look at the party numbers. Republicans, interesting. That's high. What is that? That's 60% of Republicans have a favorable impression. Might want to write that number down too. But it's actually 70% of Democrats. And I think we had numbers from way back. These were actually up for Democrats. I think it had probably something to do with the fact that Comey wasn't pursuing, criminal indictment of Hillary Clinton. Do you agree or disagree with the FBI's decision? 37% agree, but 54% disagree. That's pretty incredible because at this point in the race, I'm pretty sure Hillary Clinton was leading. And only 64% of Democrats agreed. That was pretty wild. But 79% of Republicans disagreed, and independents. This is like, again, going back in 2016, independents were not like based, but they were objective. And looking at this, I mean, independents went to Hillary Clinton in our polls. But here they say, no, she should have been indicted 63% to 23%. Pretty wild context. Yeah. Do powerful people get preferential treatment when they break the law? 81% say yes, 10% say no. So it's kind of weird. It's like these numbers are really cynical. And this is like before, Trump was talking maybe for a few months about draining the swamp. And so part of this might be a referendum on Obama. But yeah, somebody powerful gets off, and that's the kind of results you're going to get. But then moving forward, this is from September of 2018. Skip forward a little bit. Now we're into the Trump term, and voters question Trump's ability to drain the swamp with all of the politicians opposed to him. And, he was foundering a little bit. He was really getting weighed down. Here's where we're at. Agree or disagree, it's time to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C. And 71% of people agreed with that statement. Only 15% disagreed. So now Donald Trump's approval took a huge hit in 2017. Definitely took a huge hit. But now, a year later, there was like a sneaking suspicion that maybe that might have been fake. That it might have been garbage, that maybe people were lying to the American people. The party numbers... 83% of Democrats agreed, or 83% of Republicans, but 62% of Democrats, so a really strong majority of Democrats agreed with, like, basically Trump's key tricky phrase, drain the swamp. But do most politicians in Washington, D.C. agree or disagree that it's time to drain the swamp? So this is one of those early signals there that, the Uniparty is against the will of the American people. And we didn't really focus on this at the time, but look at that astounding signal. We go from 71% agree, 15% disagree, 25% agree, 53% disagree. Look at, and Republicans are most, look at the complete flip-flop. 83% and 8% of Republicans for the prior question to only 27% agreeing that politicians in D.C. want to drain the swamp. Pretty sick. And then going down further, when President Trump leaves office, will the swamp be bigger or smaller? And Americans were completely split, 33% bigger, 33% smaller. And Republicans only said smaller by 37% to 29%. So this was not a strong vote of confidence at all. Really kind of sad. And guess what? We're actually going to rerun those numbers, I think, this week or next week. And I think what we're going to see is something entirely different. Most Republicans, this from May of 2020 now, want Comey prosecuted for FBI actions. And the questions here, how likely is it that senior federal law enforcement officials broke the law in an effort to prevent Donald Trump from winning the presidency? 34% very likely, 14% somewhat likely, for a combined total of 48%. A strong plurality. Should Comey be criminally prosecuted? The country was split 40% to 39%. Now, skipping ahead to 2023, this is where things start to heat up. We get the Mar-a-Lago raid, we get Trump indictments and all that other stuff. Let's go right to the questions here. Has the FBI been weaponized by politics? So here we have some favorability numbers for the FBI again, skipping ahead 7 years, and it's a combined total of 50% favorable, 22% very favorable. So a massive drop from 62%, although very favorable increased slightly And if you look at the party numbers, we're talking about Democrats have gone up 69%. Pretty astounding. Isn't that crazy? It looks like, raiding Mar-a-Lago in August of 22, I believe. Raiding Mar-a-Lago made Democrats approve of the FBI more, but Republicans are from over 50 now to, what is that? 37%, only 17% strongly. So Republicans are like, yeah, FBI's been weaponized. And independents, kind of agreed, they're down there pretty low too. And then has the FBI become politically weaponized, starting from the top in Washington? 64% agree, 44% strongly, including half of Democrats, an astounding 80% of Republicans, and 61% of independents. Only 32% of independents disagree with that statement. So these are abominably bad numbers for what should be a nonpartisan protector, of our federal laws. And this is I think the reason basically that Biden lost. Everybody says Kamala Harris was a bad candidate, but Democrats don't need a good candidate. That's not what it is. Basically what happened is the insane overreaches of the Biden administration drove swing independents, low propensity Republicans into the hands of Donald Trump. From June 2023, a few months later, Bidengate, most voters suspect FBI, and cover up. That's even worse. Impression of the FBI down even lower now to 44%, the lowest in our polling history, almost a 20-point drop. But Democrats are even higher, 72%. Freaking sick. And Republicans are down to 23%, independents down to 36%. That was the trend during the Biden administration. Independents and Republicans moving one way, Democrats moving the other way. How likely is it that top officials at the FBI have helped cover up wrongdoing by Joe Biden or Biden's family members? 48% say very likely, 12% say somewhat likely, for a combined total of 60%. 33% say not likely, so that's basically a 2-to-1 margin. You go up to a random human in America, and you got a 2 out of 3 chance of them agreeing that the FBI helped cover up wrongdoing by Joe Biden. And again, we had a strong majority saying that the FBI was Joe Biden's personal Gestapo. None of this got reported. I mean, we reported it. We put stories out all the time on RasmussenReports.com. It wasn't picked up on the mainstream media. They just attacked us with their stupid USAID money. Absolutely insane. Election 2024, many voters suspicious towards intelligence agencies. So we focused a lot on the FBI. They were the leading edge of this weaponization of justice. But let's not overlook the intelligence agencies, shall we? February of last year, just a year ago, what's the impression of the CIA? Low, but believe it or not as low as the FBI in that last set of polls. That was horrifying. 12% very favorable. Now that kind of sucks. But 36% somewhat favorable, 48% to a 39% unfavorable, but I guess it's because they're spooks. 13% said not sure. Whatever. 62% of Democrats, less than the FBI, have a favorable impression of the CIA. But what's that? 38% of Republicans. So, the CIA is a lot quieter, right? A lot less politically engaged, ostensibly, not supposed to be operating on domestic soil. That's what they use the USAID for, and its web of partisan NGOs. Do U.S. intelligence agencies have their own political agenda, or do they generally perform impartially? Keeping America safe by protecting our democracy, or growing massive fields of opiates in Afghanistan? I don't know. But U.S. intelligence agencies have their own political agenda wins 49% to 36% who say they generally perform impartially. That's really low. Almost only 1 in 3 voters saying that basically our premier, intel, foreign intel agency is impartial. That's kind of sad. 62% of Republicans say they have their own agenda, as well as a majority of independents, 53% to only 34%, 1 in 3 independents, who say they perform impartially. And even Democrats, it's like only 47% more than anybody else say they perform impartially, but it can't get to a majority. Well, let's just check the Biden approval numbers. Were they more insane? Yeah. Like I said, it was always about Biden approval. I said it in the chat. Somebody asked, if you want to test somebody's sanity, do they strongly approve of Biden? Because 72% of Biden's strong approvers think that the CIA performs impartially, but only 12% of Biden's strong disapprovers. That's weird. Excuse me. I pressed page down. So there you have it. Not impartial. That's like what this was. Basically, the people that strongly approved of Joe Biden were people that worshiped the creature on the Potomac, the one that is strangling our economy and trampling on our freedoms. That's the trend. That's what's happening here. How likely is it that U.S. intelligence agencies are seeking to control the outcome of the 2024 presidential election? And spoiler alert, you would want a small number here. You would want like 0. But it's a majority, 52%. Not good. 31% of Americans, 3 in 10 of U.S. likely voters, say it's very likely that U.S. intelligence agencies are seeking to control the outcome of this most recent presidential election. Yeah, it appears to have been an existential threat for them. I don't think we've heard how many heads are going to roll at the CIA yet, but I think the answer is probably a lot. 52% to 38% not likely, only 20% very likely. And again, the party numbers are kind of closer together here, but what is that? 69% of Republicans, 69% of Republicans say it's likely, and half of independents. Really not great, but the things just keep getting worse and worse. That's the trend here. As the years progress in the Biden administration, things get more insane. We talked about civil war and political violence on Monday, but 66% of Democrats approve of the FBI's use of deadly force, authorization to use deadly force in the Trump raid of Mar-a-Lago. That was a really stunning little bit of news when it came out. And so we had to poll on it immediately, and we got really insane results, more favorability to the FBI. It went up. It was down at 44. It's back up above 50%. That's weird. Why is it? Because Democrats went up from the high 60s to now the low 70s, 72%. Really wild. But do you approve or disapprove of the Justice Department authorizing the use of deadly force in the Mar-a-Lago raid? That's sick. 34%, 44%, at least some would approve. But a plurality, 49%, disapprove. So I'm glad that it lost. But there's that number. Democrats right there. 66%. 2/3 of Democrats. Yeah, sure. 47% strongly approve. And, you always get that 25% of Republicans, some of whom voted for Nikki Haley. Our Republicans and Democrats cross over more than everybody else. One of the reasons is because we're not going from the voter file. We're going from like party ID, like self-identification. That's one of the things. And I think we also have a ton of people who were Republicans, but called themselves independents. But it's a really tough one to work out there because I really don't trust the exit polling at all. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? There's a group of politicized thugs at the top of the FBI who are using the FBI as Joe Biden's personal Gestapo. This one, we got 48%. We got 53% the last time we ran it. So, we were able to replicate the results is the way you say that. But here, this one's crazy. We've asked this one before, too. Who's the biggest enemy America currently faces? Russia, China, Iran, North Korea? How about the Republican and Democrat parties? Well, one of the new records we set during the Joe Biden administration is that the former leader, China,
got replaced by the Democrat Party as the number one enemy facing America. 30% of U.S. likely voters say the Democrat Party is America's biggest enemy. Another 20% say China. So China comes in second place, but the third place at 16% is the Republican Party. And only 12% say Russia, which is kind of wild considering all those Ukrainian flags and bios. Really crazy. But according to Democrats, the number one enemy is Republicans, 26%, followed by 20%, followed by 20% who say their own party. That's pretty wild. 42% of Republicans say Democrats, followed by China. 21% independents say Democrats as well, 28%. So it was a year of records. It was a year of plunging public opinion, of just absolute distaste with our government overlords who tried to throw the unvaccinated into prison camps, and then came after everybody's free speech, including Rasmussen reports. But now we get to today numbers. And this is one of a series of things. We're going to pull on this over and over and over again because it is the story that like we're focusing on here. This is the war against the deep state. And here we have our first numbers back about the FBI after the inauguration. And these are from just a few days ago. And okay, like we're starting small here. We're not going to go crazy, but it's Rasmussen report. So we're going to be provocative and we're going to test whether or not people think that the FBI is operating like government gangsters. Now, we didn't do the one where Kash Patel says that we should shut the FBI building down and turn it into a museum to the deep state. But let me tell you, it is coming. But Kash Patel favorability is 47%. The reason it's low is because 17% are not sure, which, you know, he, considering how much attention they brought to him, it's like, I guess, like he's doing all right. But 72% of Republicans favorable, 30% of Democrats. That's surprising. You know, they call him a grifter or whatever. 40% of independents approve, 39% disapprove. So he's split with independents. That's basically where Trump is. And all of this is being driven by not sure numbers. But here's the one we talked about before. Does the FBI need to be reformed? 52% say yes. 31% say no. And that matches very closely with the 30% of people who say they trust the federal government. Everybody else doesn't. Everybody else doesn't. That was the referendum. It wasn't Kamala Harris. It was Joe Biden as an extension of a federal government that nobody trusts. And a third of Democrats say that the FBI needs to be reformed. A third of Democrats. 71% of Republicans, only 19% of Republicans say no, and independents say yes, 51% to 31%. And so, yeah, Kamala Harris should have done better with independents, but she didn't have an answer for this lack of trust. But here's the one that I was talking about. Kash Patel wrote a book entitled Government Gangsters. How much of the time do you believe the federal government acts as government gangsters? Now, the hurdle for this one's pretty high. Like, gangsters is a strong word, but we still get 41% who say all of the time or most of the time, and that's roughly equivalent to the 41% who think a civil war is likely in the next couple of years. So basically, like, 41% are woke populists. So, like, that's what it is. You know, they get it. They know what's going on. 41% of them. And then you get the 30% who say the FBI doesn't need to be reformed. Like, those are the numbers. Everybody else is somewhere pretty much in the middle. 28% say some of the time. That's the safe answer. But only 22% say rarely or never. Only 32% of Democrats say rarely or never. And 55% of Republicans say most of the time or all of the time. And 35% of independents. So pretty strong signal for a tough question. And we'll go at this topic more. And this is the last one. I'll just put this up because I think our guest is waiting now. This is one that we overlooked, and it's a good one. Is Trump acting like a dictator? 74% of Democrats say so. So it's heating up. As we're going to see, because I have some Reddit posts saved down, it's heating up. There is a vacuum. There's a power vacuum on the Democrat side, and it's going to get filled. And right now, everybody's looking around trying to figure out who's going to fill it. and Trump is just running roughshod over these people. Yeah, there's a lot of legal cases out there, sure. There's a lot of representatives in Congress now talking about impeaching the judges. Elon Musk has given that a lot of signal boosting. And maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't, maybe it won't. Ron Coleman thinks that it's probably not going to happen. I don't know. But basically what it comes down to is that Donald Trump figured out what the cheat code is. He punched in the cheat code, up, down, left, right, BA, start. You know what it is? You get people in your cabinet who hate corruption. Like, that's it. Like, problem solved. They're just going to keep doing it. It's like you get blocked by a judge, they're going to do something else. They're literally going to, they can't. I mean, they don't have control of Congress. They're not going to be able to launch any investigations. These judges are probably going to get overruled by somebody at some point. And so it's existential for the deep state. Don't know where it goes, but that's why we're talking about political context. And that's why we're bringing in a guest who, in my opinion, knows a heck of a lot more about the inner workings of this beast than I do. He has on a lot of great guests. He gets a lot of great guests, a lot of whistleblowers, a lot of former intel assets, a lot of longtime politicos. One of them is Roger Stone. They're like buddies. They talk to each other all the time. So we talked about the numbers here, and we're going to try and get into his head about where this whole thing is going and react to some of the crazy stuff that we see going on. And of course, our guest, you know him, is John Fawcett from the Great American Show. An excellent American, and I'm glad he's my friend. We hung out a lot at CPAC, had quite a few beers. It was a good time. Talked about the crazy situation we're in. And let me unshare this and bring him in. John.
Is this thing on? Hello? Can anyone hear me?
I got you. We got you.
Mark R. Mitchell, thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is great. This is, I think, Wednesday is going to be poll party, and you can come whenever the hell you want. I'm going to put like a beach ball on my thumbnail, you know.
I'll keep the jokes to a minimum. By the way, I got to say, I'm impressed. That little cheat code you just gave. For anyone who's not like a millennial, that was the cheat code to get rid of your wanted level on Grand Theft Auto on PlayStation 2.
Oh, man. What? John, you just aged yourself.
I think it was like L1, R1, L2, R2, left down, right up, left down, right up.
No, John, no. Come on, chat. Tell him what it was. Tell him what it was.
That's what it was.
No, it wasn't.
What
it may have been derivative. Come on. Who's the first one? Who's got it? It was Contra. It was the Konami cheat code. It gave you 30 extra guys in Contra.
Now you're aging yourself, Mark.
Yeah, I know. That's right. That's right. The Konami code. We got a lot of people that said that. Yeah.
I'm sorry I'm late. The Knicks, the New York Knicks, give me high blood pressure. They almost went to overtime. So I'll get a little bit later, but I'm here.
Sports ball.
It's one of the few things I enjoy these days, Mark, in this political climate. When you know what it's like now because you work like 24/7. You and I, like you said, we're in DC. We were working 24/7. Even having a few beers, we're sitting there working. So anything like you can get your mind off of work for 20, 30 minutes at a time. It's nice because we work a lot.
Yeah, I was up till 1 last night working.
We were on the phone past that, I think.
Yeah, that's right. And then you made me watch a documentary.
Which
I fell asleep on my computer. I'm like, what?
Whoever has Netflix, even if you don't have Netflix, get your friend's login and password. Yes, I said that. It's called The Octopus Murders. What's the actual name of it? American Conspiracy, The Octopus Murders on Netflix. An absolute eight episode documentary on just how corrupt the government was back in the 80s with the Iran-Contra deal. Some of you guys may remember Inslaw, Bill Barr, so many names, Mark, and you got to finish watching it, that were tied into this thing of corruption like 30 years ago are the same people, Mark, who are corrupt as hell today.
Yeah, I didn't get to that part yet, but I think we got onto this conversation. I didn't get to that part. The conversation got there, I think, when we were talking about Bill Barr. Yeah. I think that's when it came up.
Yeah. Who Tony Schaefer, our friend, tells me is in deep hiding right now because there's a lot of answers, a lot of questions that need answers. You and I were talking earlier today on the phone about all these election suits that are mysteriously now being opened. And last night when we were talking, you said, all these cases that were just thrown out for standing. And Bill Barr never really looked into anything. And he actually lied under oath. There's testimony from Bill Barr somewhere that says he actually looked into cases, but there's never any evidence to show that he ever looked into one election case. Why?
So you just had Tony on, was it this week or last week?
Yeah.
And and we haven't talked about him on the show. He hasn't been on here. Some of the people that follow me may have seen me on his show, but we haven't gotten into this. Can you give him a TLDR on where he fits into election integrity and Bill Barr? Because I love the fact that he's sort of dishing on that.
Yeah. So Tony is former lieutenant colonel. I'm not, fluffing my show here, but it was you actually watched the interview 2 nights ago and I sent it to you. It was truly a fascinating interview where Tony did most of the talking, and I was fine with that. He is just a total brilliant mind. He blew the whistle back in 2001, January of 2001. We spoke about this the other day. Project Able Danger. Pretty much what he was doing at the time in 2001, January of 2001, so months before 9/11, he was tasked with this deep undercover operation where they wanted to know how many terrorists maybe were in America, how many were planning to do things, and what they were planning to do. So Tony and a bunch of guys, staffed by the government, run this whole operation. They find out there's terrorists in America, that they're ready to plan an attack. So Tony comes forward and says, this is what the deal is. They're going to attack the homeland. And all of a sudden, Project Able Danger gets shut down. Now, 4 or 5 months later, we get 9/11. And Tony says, whoa, I told you guys so. And he came out and blew the whistle on it. But going further in that, Tony's been a spy and undercover operative for the U.S. government, serving in various capabilities. 2020 comes around and Tony gets tasked, I think it was by Bernie Carrick, the former police commissioner of New York, and Rudy Giuliani, to start heading up some of these election cases. And lo and behold, someone comes to Tony, a man by the name of Jesse Morgan. Jesse Morgan, if you watched Lou Dobbs Tonight, you'd have known, was the post office driver who wore a Bills jersey on every interview. He was just this regular guy, Mark, like you and I, who his job was to run those big post trucks, those 18-wheeler post trucks that, go from point A to point B, not the ones that deliver the mail, the ones that's transported from state to state. And he picks up these ballots in Rockville Center, I think it was Rockville Center, Long Island. And Mark, it's pallets and pallets of ballots, New York ballots going to Pennsylvania. So this guy Jesse Morgan, like what
between
the
10
hell?
and 20 massive mail bins or something that might have had hundreds of thousands of ballots each. Yeah.
And he says that they were like flowing out of the bag. So Jesse Morgan says, what the hell is this? Like, why am I driving New York ballots to Pennsylvania? Aren't these New York counted ballots? Nobody understands what the hell's going on. So Jesse comes out, blows the whistle. Of course, like every whistleblower, he's a psychopath, he's a lunatic, he's a drunk, he's a pothead. I don't know what they used to describe him, but Tony Schaefer is now representing this guy, and this is back in 2020. So Tony Schaefer, with close ties to the DOJ, goes to Bill Barr, has a meeting with Bill Barr, who's working for Donald Trump in the government. Bill Barr, after this meeting, fires him, calls him up. Bill Barr called Tony personally, I think used some expletive words, and fired Tony Schaefer. Why? Why, Mark?
Yeah, I don't know. He seemed to have a major change of heart.
By the way, we're working on getting Jesse Morgan back on my show because I want to blow the story back up again. I mean, who doesn't want to know what the hell happened?
Everybody in the Postal Service, apparently, including the entire Democrat Party and everybody in the mainstream media and our intel agencies, for that matter, right? Like, literally, hear no evil, see no evil.
Mark, 2020 was like the craziest times of our lives. I mean, couldn't go anywhere without a mask. They stole an election. I mean, it was just the craziest thing. Joe Biden gets the most amount of votes in American history. What the hell's going on?
I know. Out of nowhere. I know. I think about this like every day because it's like look at what it did to people's brains. It turned some people insane. I was like thinking a lot about this, and I think like long form content and the rise of podcasts and interactive streams like this is almost like an immune response to Clown World. It's almost like people just needed this, and that's why it became a thing. They literally said, anybody who gives me a credential, screw you, I don't believe you, and I'm gonna like double down into this thing. And what's kind of crazy is the analog of like you and me talking here with people that can interact with us is kind of like what it was probably like in a tavern back in 1775.
Right.
Wild.
Right. You and I are similar in the sense, Mark, where when we were together last week, I mean, you talked to everybody. You were telling random people to come pull up chairs and come sit with us. I mean, and I'm the same way to an extent, you know, when I'm not working, I kind of just want to be left alone. And because, you know, I talk to people all day for a living, but I'll talk to anybody. I'll debate with anybody. I'll argue with anybody. But these people during COVID, Mark, were completely intolerant. If you weren't vaccinated, you were disinvited to family holiday parties. I mean, you weren't invited to weddings. You weren't allowed to go to funerals. You know, I was telling you earlier today, I was out to a luncheon in the city down by NYU, and I must have seen like 5 or 6 people with masks on. And I'm like, presumably the young people who go to NYU, which is probably top like 5%, less than 5% of the smartest people in our society, and they're still wearing masks.
Yeah. It's sad. The psychological operation weaponizes tribalism, and people are afraid of being ostracized, especially like weak-willed people that like they know like logically it doesn't make sense, but it's like, oh no, I gotta own the chuds. Or, I don't know. Like it doesn't matter.
I wonder.
Look at it's like there's 30% of people that say no, the FBI doesn't need to be overhauled. And there's 66% of Democrats who say, yeah, it was pretty cool that the FBI had authorization to use deadly force in the Mar-a-Lago raid. Like, that's not great.
Yeah, but that 30%, Mark, you know, there's so many people who just, I bet if you polled like a completely independent poll of people who know like what the FBI has done the last 5 years, you'd probably get a really high percentage of people who really don't know what the hell went on.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think maybe hidden in that 30% of people, you've probably got some people who just like don't care, airheads, you know, teenagers or, you know, adolescents who just, you know, really don't care to know what's going on, don't give a damn about anything. And, you know, that's, you know, that's my opinion. And I only say that because I know people like that. You know, I know people who just go about their daily lives and just don't give a damn about what goes on in the outside world.
Let me download the crosstabs and check one thing. I want to see what Joe Biden, no, I guess it would be Trump strong disapprovers. Gotta give me a second. I gotta find this thing. Let me, you know what? While I look for this, I alluded to this earlier in the show that I was going to have some stuff prepared for you.
Uh-oh.
And what I would like you to react to, some of these beautiful things that I found on Reddit.
Oh, God, I thought you had some, like, bad pictures of me or something.
Okay, these got, I think, progressively worse. Government waste on full display during the cabinet meeting. This is from today on Fed News, which has gained 40,000 followers in the last week, is now one of the most biggest political subreddits on Reddit. I'm off for the day. I turned on the news to see what chaos is going on today. It's been about 1 hour, the president taking questions from reporters while every single cabinet member sits there in silence as the interview goes on. That's like, what, $3,000 or something? Like,
oh my goodness.
That's what I consider government waste.
Oh my
What do you
goodness.
say to that? What do you say to that, John?
I mean, okay, so Mark, if you look at this, I was just talking to my dad on the phone about this before I came on with you. We were talking about the green card, the $5 trillion green card program, which I don't think is the worst idea in the world, by the way. But if you look at like the level of intellect and the amount of capital those people are worth, okay, you've got Howard Lutnick in there who's run Cantor Fitzgerald. By the way, an absolutely terrific man. For people who don't know his backstory about how many people he lost in 9/11 and what he did for those families. He's worth about $2 billion. You've got Elon Musk. I don't even know how much he's worth. You've got Donald Trump who's worth $5 billion. You've got McMahon. You've got Kelly Loeffler. You've got all these people who are like worth hundreds of millions and billionaires, and they're sitting here taking jobs for $200,000 a year. Okay. Yeah. So if you look at it from this way, if you were to hire these people, Mark, as consultants, like outside consultants, or as the government likes to do it, government contractors, they're going to cost you a lot more than $200,000 a year. So I'm fine with paying these people $200 or $250. I think the highest they make is like $220 as a special advisor or cabinet member. I'm completely fine with that, because once they get out, if you're going to want advice from them, it's going to cost you probably like $1,000 an hour. So that $100 an hour thing, go to hell.
Well, it's like it's a Reddit LARPer too that probably never worked a salary job. It's like, no, it just means that Pete Hegseth's got to stay up an extra 2 hours to do the same amount of work. That's all it means. But all right, I found it
last night. Hegseth made $2.3 million last year, and Dan Bongino, who does, by the way, independent media, doesn't work for Fox News, made almost $5 million last year. 3.9.
Oh wow!
So
surprised it's not bigger.
So people, are leaving these jobs behind to come work for the government. So
yeah, he's like literally, I think he's like getting rid of his shares of ownership, and it's crazy. But okay, here, poll break, got some numbers. Does the FBI need to be reformed? 52% said yes, 31% said no. Here are the numbers by Trump approval. 85% of Trump's strong approvers say yes, only 8% say no. But among strong disapprovers of Trump, 21% say yes, 59% say no, but 20% are not sure. So there is a very strong signal. If you hate Trump, you don't want the FBI formed, and I think it's probably just Orange Man bad, maybe, or maybe it's like no, like there's a chance that the FBI might raid him and kill him. I do not know. All right.
By the way, speaking of Trump, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go you.
Did you see that interview from the new director of the Secret Service?
No, I did not.
So he apparently did an interview with someone from, I guess, NBC or MS. What the hell it was? Wherever Major Garrett works. It was actually really sad to see. He's been with Trump since 2016. I think his name's Sean Kurek. And he pretty much said that he was planning to go to jail with Donald Trump if they put him in jail. And he looked at Trump and he said, well, we're going to get to spend a lot more time together in close quarters, and was planning to mold his life around going to jail. I mean, that's crazy.
It's integrity.
I mean, that's
Trump
the kind of man
attract a lot of people like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought it brought a tear to my eye, because I didn't think there was anybody around that the man who the president who actually cared about him. I always assumed that people were there, for the clout and for the money.
Yeah. Some of them probably still are, but I know he has people very loyal to him that have worked for him for decades. Dan Scavino, I think, falls into that category as well. Okay.
Dan's a good guy.
Ratcheting it up a little bit. This is from Something Is Wrong 2024, one of the most unhinged subreddits. It's one of my favorite ones to go to drink salty tears. But Americans, people, and leaders must show the world that Trump doesn't speak for all of us. It's time for the U.S. to establish a public internal organization that actively supports democracy, Western alliances, and international stability. Trump's erratic foreign policy shifts and the alignment with dictators are rapidly damaging America's global reputation and burning bridges with our allies, John. Crazy. The world needs to see that millions of us reject this authoritarianism, and Trump does not have the sweeping mandate that he claims. He has a mandate, but I'll tell you that.
Can we see if this was Klaus Schwab who wrote this?
Probably.
I mean, this thing's got one world order written all over it, Mark.
Bots, man. Yeah. Together we can. Look at that. Look at Reddit, man. What is this garbage?
I bet you Grok made that.
Oh my goodness. This is beautiful, and I will join you. Thank you. Some of this is like all the people getting fired from the CIA. Some of this is bots. Some of this is like probably Chinese clout farms. I don't know.
Do you remember Ashley Madison, the website?
Oh, yeah. Wasn't there a huge leak?
Yes, exactly. The whole data breach where the people's profiles were like revealed. I would pay any amount of money for there to be some sort of data breach at Reddit so these people could be exposed and their handles. I would love to see how many of them are real people, how many of them are bots, how many of them are in their parents' basement. and so on and so forth.
Well, that one is a high correlation for sure.
How many of them are sitting there with like a bag of potato chips in their underwear with a beer in one hand and Pringles in the other, and just firing away hate speech and hateful tweets on Donald Trump on the government one?
One of my favorite jokes I think I've ever seen on the internet was back when all the Redditors were like volunteering to go fight in Ukraine. And of course, it's all performative. Very few of them really did.
Yeah.
But somebody made a meme of like a Redditor Ukraine starter pack.
I think I saw it.
But yeah, we don't have to go into what was in it, but it was pretty hilarious.
Was that the one that had like the mouthpiece or something on it? There was some sort of mouth guard.
Well, there was a rainbow phallic sexual toy and stuff
That's
like
right.
that. Like it was, yeah. Now let's go to the next one. Let's go to this last one here. How much are you willing to sacrifice as a federal employee? My mentor died from a heart attack Monday. He was fired last week. He was only a couple of weeks shy of completing his probation. He went to work for the government after retiring because he and his wife were raising their grandkid. Their daughter died from COVID. This is like, wow. So now he's left a wife who's battling cancer and a grandkid behind. I keep replaying how messed up this whole situation is. I can't say all of this killed him, but I'm damn sure it makes a good suspect. I want to be angry, but there just doesn't seem time to process it. I have no emotion left. Everyone has been avoiding words like coup or like the plague, but Europe sees it. Holocaust survivors see it. Everyone but Americans seem to see what is happening. Coup, John.
What is
use
going
the word?
This can't be real. I mean,
well, like first off, the first paragraph, it's like this guy rolled like one crits, like every time he rolled the dice. This is like the worst hand of cards anybody ever could have gotten.
Like, it seems like you have a better chance of getting struck by lightning.
Yeah, it's peculiar. Talk is cheap. Actions cost something. I'm willing to listen to any ideas on what we could collectively do because bickering amongst ourselves seems to be getting nowhere, and it's like 1,200 upvotes.
Wow, that seems like a Fed surrection, if you ask me too. That guy's looking to stage a insurrection.
Yeah, remember your oath. Remember your oath. This is crazy. This is like
now these are all people who allegedly work for the government.
No, this one is Fed News. So this is people who are interested in news and discussion about people who work in the government. And it used to have 200,000 followers. Now it's got 500,000. Wow. So there's a lot of LARPers in here, for sure. Yeah.
A secure platform for U.S. federal employees to discuss work-related topics, share perspective, and stay informed. Huh. Very interesting. It blows my mind that they're not scared to be posting things like this on here, knowing damn well the CIA, the NSA, know everything.
That's a very good point. There were a lot of death threats 2 or 3 weeks ago, so much so that the Reddit leadership had to threaten to shut it down. Hey, you might not know this, but there is a link between Reddit and USAID. Believe it or not.
Shoot, what's the connection?
The VP of communications at Reddit is also currently, I believe, a board member on one of the NGOs that's being funded by USAID. It's in data Republican stuff. Pretty crazy.
Who's this person?
Let me try and find it. And while I do, I'm going to put this up as our final slide on Reddit. Did you see this? This is crazy.
I think I saw you post this morning.
They took every subreddit for a state and divided it by the number of people in the state. And when you do that, Washington, D.C. is above 50%.
Dude, look at New York. What the heck?
Yeah, I guess like people in Manhattan don't really care about Reddit. Or, maybe it's like they join the New York City Reddit instead of the New York State Reddit. I don't know. But when you look at people like Washington D.C. subreddit has way more subscribers per capita than anybody else. So D.C. is like, some of that's D.C. is a city, but D.C. is like per capita infested with Redditors, just infested, like some
Mark, you're
kind
a
of
pollster.
illness.
You're a pollster. What's the common trend between the top 3, 4 most Reddited states?
Let me look. What do we got? We got Vermont. There's probably a lot of cat ladies there. I don't know. Like, what's in Vermont?
These are all Marxist-run states.
Yeah. Well, Alaska's off the charts, but Oregon is up there. Colorado.
Well, Alaska, we'll give them
Minnesota.
a pass because those folks have like 3 months of daylight a year. So, we'll give them
problem
a
with
pass.
West Virginia is probably has some feds in it.
If you look at 18, is that 18 or 16% for Vermont, 50% for DC? I mean, that's some troubling stuff. But I think it goes to show you what these folks do with their time. They ain't working, so I can completely understand why they're so angry at the government cutting these very beautifully paying jobs.
Yeah, if they're in the NSA like trans chat, then they're on Reddit as well. You know what I mean? If they're spending their day doing that, I'm pretty sure. Let me still trying to find that. It was a Data Republican, and she puts out so much stuff. Can't believe they try to dox her, and really crazy.
I'd sent you a video. That's probably your one Twitter message. I'd sent you a video before we got on here of Alex Stein confronting Dan Crenshaw.
Oh, I'll put that up. Okay, I found it. All right, here we go. Let's put Reddit to bed. Internews Network receives substantial U.S. government funding with $95 million in active grants from USAID and the Department of State. Its IRS Form 990 reports $94 million in taxpayer funding out of $124 million total budget. Well, that's another thing that people like. These NGOs were not just being funded by USAID. There's other NGO funnels, and then some of it's private capital that's coming from God knows where. Among it's like it could be money laundered for the cartels. We don't know.
Yeah,
that could be how the cartels buy off politicians. We don't know.
Yeah.
Among its principal officers includes Anna Solner, VP of Communications at Reddit. Interesting.
That's pretty wild. That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
How do we get on this gravy train? Do you think we missed it?
Well, like, I couldn't do it, man. I'd have to be one of those people that goes to the Principal First Summit. Like,
I wanted to go. You didn't want to go.
Yeah, I saw. Was it Nick Sorter or somebody went and he had some video of it and looked pretty stupid actually.
Yeah, look at somebody there.
They confronted one of the people. I forget who it was. It looked like they were going to cry.
Speaking
of confrontations and tears,
Dan, you're just such a little loser. Yeah. I was trying to grab my thing. Look, you're too slow. He's too slow, Navy SEAL. It's funny, Dan, how you said you're tall. I'm small, but I'm so much taller than you, Dan. I'm so much bigger than you.
Oh my goodness.
You're a little sad little boy. You know what I mean? I'm the little one. Imagine me calling you out because you're a globalist. Oh, I got a job. I work for the Blaze. I make a lot of money. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do, Dan. Yeah, I make a lot of money. Yeah, I'm a loser.
This is the guy.
Have you met him yet?
Yes, many times. We used to have him on the show a bunch too. He's so funny. Oh, you're talking about Stein, right?
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, right. Stein.
I couldn't care less.
I met him at Amfest, and I think he's a public opinion aficionado.
He's terrific.
Does this get crazier? Should we keep going?
Yeah, let it keep rolling. He follows him.
Yeah, because there's a weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist. I'm anti-war. Yeah. Yeah, I'm anti-war because I don't believe. Did you guys find any weapons of mass destruction?
As a matter of fact,
Oh, is that Wounded Warrior?
Oh, what weapons of mass
They
destruction?
said they found weapons
You're
of mass
actually gonna go down this
destruction.
route, Alex.
Yeah, because we don't have any weapons of mass
You're
destruction.
looking like a fool right
Dude,
now.
I'm
You're
the
telling
fool. You're the one
veterans,
that's giving
not
more
just
money
me,
to Ukraine.
but plenty
We
of
have a
veterans.
homelessness. There's
You're
so
telling
many
plenty
issues
of
here in
veterans
America.
that their
Who cares
service
more
was
about
wasted.
Ukraine?
You're
Yeah, it was.
disgusting.
You guys' service was
Oh,
wasted.
you're
For
disgusting.
globalists and
Shots
traitors.
fired.
You are the modern day version.
I'm the modern day
people
version.
who
You
spit
worry
on
more about
Vietnam
Ukraine
veterans.
than our border. You worry more
modern
about,
day
he
version.
cares more about Ukraine
Spit
than
on
he does
veterans.
about America. So you're a globalist. Why don't you take care of America? You don't care.
Oh, man.
That's your problem, Dan. You don't care about America. You don't care about Texas.
You're
Look at
disgusting.
do you think there's
You
an
used to
invasion?
be a comedian,
Is there an
didn't you?
invasion on our border
You used
right
to
now?
be a comedian,
Is there an
didn't you?
invasion on our border right now?
Maybe you should go back
I
to
still
that,
am
buddy.
a comedian. Is there an invasion
not
on
very
our
good
border?
at comedy
Will you
anymore.
admit that there's an invasion on our border?
There's an invasion on our
Yeah, but you won't do
And
anything
who do
about
you
it.
think
But
the
why do
number
you
one
give
guy
80
deals with
billion
that?
to Ukraine? Why do you give 80 billion to Ukraine?
Oh
I
man.
think you're getting the numbers wrong there, buddy.
Oh, what are we at 100
Numbers
billion
wrong.
now?
Imagine that.
What are we up to now, Dan? And
said
they
it
even
wasn't
say
close
none of
to
those
80
weapons
billion.
even go to the front lines. So why don't you start caring about America?
Oh man. What?
Crazy.
Like, why is my
don't care
spacebar
about-
not pausing? What? Like, why does he engage with him?
He
He
can't help
win
himself.
this battle.
He
Yeah.
cannot help himself. You know, Alex has a pretty crazy story. I don't know if he got to telling you, but the reason he got all into politics, he has a friend who overdosed on drugs from fentanyl that was sold to him as cocaine. So that's why Alex had started this whole political movement and becoming a justice warrior.
Wow.
That's why you hear him talking about the southern border.
I heard some of his story about like getting, I think it was like a sportscaster or something, and then he lost his job because of some DEI implications.
Yeah, affirmative
And I hadn't
action
heard
was
the
a
overdose.
reality show. He lost it to
That's what it was.
like
Yeah.
some DJ or something who happens to be black.
Can you imagine being like jingoistic on behalf of somebody else's country?
Yeah. That's these people. I mean, there's something that happens to them when they go to DC. I know people, Mark, before they were politicians and after, and there's something about them once you start talking to them after the fact. It's like everything you say goes in one ear and out the other, and they're like there, but they're not there. It's the strangest thing.
Yeah, I like hubris and narcissism. I was really hoping that Nick Sorter's Eric Swalwell video would come out before this show. Unfortunately, I guess it didn't. Checked like 5 times today. And it's like, it just reminds me, it's like drunk on power. It's basically this guy can get whatever he asks for. He doesn't have to worry about getting caught at all. Everybody around him completely supports and plays into every perversion he wants to do. And the like literally the mental like foundation is, oh, of course the taxpayers are getting screwed. It's because I deserve all this stuff. Like that's literally what the mentality is. And it's got to be almost all of them. It has to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and the people who don't go in there who are exactly what you just described, I think it turns it into they turn into it just by virtue. Look at Madison Cawthorn when he came out and spoke out about the things that they were doing there, and he lost his seat. It's I think there's the show House of Cards. We were talking about this last week. House of Cards, we watch it thinking it's crazy, but I mean, that's like a tenth of what really
It's like
goes
amateur hour. Yeah.
That's cocktail hour.
Yeah. I was saying, well, here's how you know Hollywood is dead and irrelevant, because think about how many great movies and TV series could be launched just on all the insane stuff we witnessed in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
It's like fiction authors like wet dream. Hey, we got we have an interesting chat comment, and I want to put it up. And somebody says, Amanda Schwartz, that the Epstein files are coming out tomorrow. I missed that.
Yes. Pam Bondi said that on I don't even want to say the man's name because we don't like him on this show. He's not a man who tells the honest truth about the polls. We'll just leave it at that. He's a Fox News host, and she was a guest on the show. And Bondi said there was over 250 names of victims that needed to be sorted out. Now, I'm not entirely sure what that means because it takes about 10 minutes to go through a list and redact those names. But what Tony Schaefer told me was he believes a lot of U.S. politicians are going to be implicated. By the way, while we're on the subject, if you want to look at something cool, Polymarket has updated their list of people who are expected to maybe be on the Epstein lists.
Oh, no. Yeah, let me look. But she said was there a deadline given for tomorrow?
She says tomorrow they'll start coming out.
Start coming out. Okay. Well,
who knows what that means?
Oh, I love how the first Polymarket one that comes up is if there will be greater than 100 redactions or not. Hold on. Let me get this in the mains.
I think that's a given.
Here we go. Who will be named?
The only redactions that should be on that thing is the names of the victims who don't want to be named. Simple as that.
Well, these would be the individuals. These would be the individuals. Is it going to be a letdown?
I think it'll be a letdown in the sense of if she plays the game and redacts people, then I think it will be. But if she just lets this thing fly, I think it's going to be a barn burner.
Didn't Tom Hanks move to Greece?
I thought that was Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, she moved too, I think.
Hillary Kissinger. Jamie Dimon's on there now, by the way.
Ooh, interesting. Wow.
Jay-Z, 32% chance.
Look at how much more volume there is on Jay-Z. And Al Gore. I love it. Look at that. Al Gore is probably trying to bid his name down.
Alec Baldwin. I'd love to see him on there. He's such a creep.
Yeah.
Donald
yeah,
Trump.
these are all Donald Trump's on there. Interesting. Look at the volume on that. That's the thing. That's the thing about the poly market is that there's so many markets that they're very thinly traded. And I think poly market was accurate in the fall because the swing state polling and the national popular vote polling were very high volume. So if you went in and even like they were, I think it did total notional bet and was saying somewhere between 2 and 3 billion in notional trades. But that's not all of the value at risk. And I looked and I think the numbers I checked were over a period of 6 hours, the national popular vote, I think, moved 8 points, and it was driven on only 660,000 in net trade volume. And that was like the national popular vote. So like here, it's like you put a $500 or $1,000 bet in, it could move the market.
Yeah. Well, yeah, something with a low volume for sure.
Yeah. Especially Rachel Maddow. Maybe
Rachel Maddow, yeah.
I wish I had an account. We could like bid her up into we could probably just like buy some
we'd have the FBI at our door. Those are the names at the bottom that were just added tonight, by the way. That's what I saw.
Who do we have? Anderson Cooper. Bernie Sanders. Now that would be interesting because he is currently one of the most vocal people out there trying to fill the Democrat vacuum. Pretty crazy. Stephen Colbert. Again, none of these are really surprises. David Koch. Maybe David Koch. Is that the one living Koch brother?
Yeah, I think so.
Kirsten Gillibrand and Robert Downey Jr.
That one's a little interesting.
So it's like if you tell me Justin Trudeau is on the Epstein client list, I guess I'd be like, yeah, probably. Like, makes sense.
He's a weird dude.
Yeah, maybe, like maybe the dates and times.
By the way, I think Trudeau, now that you mentioned him, I think it's going to be exactly 1 month from tonight when he's out of office. I think it's March 26th.
Is it? All I know is I think they're voting on, was it the 7th they're voting on?
I didn't think they were back. I thought the date was March 26th for them to be back in Parliament to vote.
So one of the cool things about going on with Pollster is that we can look at raw data. Let me cue this up because we are in the field right now with Canada questions. Now this will be our online data. It'll be younger people, a little bit more political normie, and it will be unweighted. But I'm just interested in seeing what we got. What do we get on Canada?
By the way, for the audience, if there's any pollsters watching, I'd love for you to show me a pollster as transparent as Mark Mitchell.
Yeah.
There's
I didn't even give you the data too, but it's like there's no point. First, there's PII and some of this stuff. Okay. We did paper ballot stuff. Do you think hand-marked paper ballots are more trustworthy or less trustworthy? More trustworthy wins 40-20 among the online data. Would you support or oppose a law enacting paper ballots? Going to be a strong majority. It looks like a number in the 60s. Would you personally volunteer? Count paper ballots in the gymnasium in your town, 60% to 28%. Again, unweighted, partial data, one night, but like this is going to be pretty directionally correct. Here we go.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorable or unfavorable impression of Justin Trudeau? And 35% aren't sure. Like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. We don't know him. I guess I'll just say somewhat because I have no idea. Okay. Has he been good for Canada or bad for Canada? Ugh.
Yeah, these numbers are these are rich.
The phone people will probably bring this up to parity. And what we'll see is like, look at that, 26% not sure. But this is the one. This is the one.
Online responses.
It's just the online, but this is the one that I'm waiting for. If some Canadian provinces wanted to secede from Canada, would you support or oppose having these Canadian provinces become part of the United States? 27% strong, another 35% somewhat. Very few people say oppose.
They know our president is Donald J. Trump, so that's highly interesting.
This is going to be like a 60 or 70% support, I think, is my guess. You know, maybe it was just this one night. I haven't looked at these yet. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I'm going to have a Canadian on to talk about it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Nadine Ness. Yeah.
That is great.
I don't think anybody's done that yet, and I don't think if they wanted to, they could have it done in time. So, to beat me.
So
what was the craziest thing you saw today, John? What was the craziest thing you saw?
Oh man, I think I told you before. I saw 5 people walking down the street with masks, and then I saw a transgender man walking down the street with another with a boy. And I looked back because I thought it was a girl, and then I saw he had a very hairy back, so I realized it wasn't a girl.
Oh no!
That was the craziest thing I saw today. I'd ask you, but you probably picked the kids up from school. You took them to like McDonald's or Chuck E. Cheese, went back home.
Oh, I sat on my desk in the basement all day, and I didn't even get to like watch this whole thing.
Oh, this is great.
People who worry that targeting an individual firm or individuals who aren't Jack Smith.
Excuse me. I've been targeted for 4 years, longer than that. So you don't tell me about targeting. I was the target of corrupt politicians for 4 years, and then 4 years after that. So don't talk to me about targeting.
So
I love give no F's Donald Trump. He just doesn't care.
He's so brilliant. Everything is just so practical. By the way, you got to follow that page. Whoever doesn't follow it. This is such a transparent administration, Mark. It's remarkable. You go look at those videos. They're putting out like 30 videos a day of just the administration, the cabinet members, of them on television. I mean, there's probably like 4 or 5 of the administration officials. Oh, there you go. That's the Epstein files. That's the guy who doesn't do honest polling, by the way.
He says he likes us and appreciates our work when I talk to him directly, but I think we're on his producer blacklist.
Did you speak to him directly?
Yeah, I got his number somehow.
Well, I'm surprised he responded.
Oh, he did. He was very nice. He was very nice.
Should we give out the number to see if maybe?
No, dude. No,
sure?
Absolutely not.
We could do it.
Oh, man.
Or is that considered doxing?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Who was it? It was Donald Trump. Do you remember he gave out Lindsey Graham's cell phone number?
No, I don't remember that.
Oh my!
Wow.
There's got to be a
was
video
that?
on Twitter. This is probably 2016. There's probably a video on Twitter. Trump pulls out his phone at a rally and gives out Lindsey Graham's cell phone number.
Like in the speech. He's just like,
You've
by the way.
never seen that before.
I don't know. Because there's so much stuff to see.
Oh, I mean, come on. That's like ultimate troll move. Like, that's like troll move level 101. I mean, that's crazy.
Let me show you the craziest thing I saw today. Because I don't know if we talked about it. I can't remember if we talked about it, but it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Here we go. Have you seen this?
Are you going to inform us?
Let me blow it up.
Yeah, I'm kind of.
Michael Wolff's new book, All or Nothing: How Trump Recaptured America. Donald Trump doubled down on belligerence and bombast in clawing back the presidency, according to this raucous campaign narrative. Journalist Wolff gives a fly-on-the-wall account of Trump's 2024 election run, anchored by a technicolor portrait of the candidate's egotism, wild mood swings, and steadfast rejection of reality. When informed that a Rasmussen poll had him up by 3 points, he replied, "Have them fix it. It's 10 points."
Can you confirm or deny that ever happened?
This is in the books, like tease. Like, this is going to be everywhere on Amazon. It's in the back cover. It's like, well, let me just start with, like, obviously, no, I've never changed numbers for anybody ever, nor would I, nor would any of our clients even ask because they know it's unethical. Nor, did we ever get a request by anybody affiliated with Trump, nor have we taken money from anybody affiliated with Trump. But if you don't believe me, this is retarded because Trump has internal pollsters. Trump pays internal pollsters a lot of money, and I happen to know from talking to them that their numbers exactly match mine. So the idea that, like, Trump plus 10 is, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense. And unfortunately, I think this is libelous, but I don't think we're really in a position to sue. Otherwise, we
send
would.
this to, by the way, there's a new Twitter page you've got to follow. Since you said the word, I wasn't sure if we were allowed to say it, but we can say it now. The Twitter page is I Find Retards. And it's a guy who just goes through Twitter all day long, Mark, just trolling people.
He literally just takes a picture of them, right?
Dude, when I looked at his account earlier today at 160, he's at 186 right now.
Well, I appreciate his choice in brainlets. I haven't seen some of these before. I haven't seen the black hole brainlet.
Oh my goodness.
That's a good one.
I literally watched him all day long going through.
Oh, you found one.
Dude, he finds them all day long. Oh, my goodness. I found this guy today, and I scrolled through these. I saw him get into a fight with the Jeopardy, which I didn't know. There was a Jeopardy contestant who's a transgender.
Wait a minute. No. Did they Photoshop the Krasensteins down?
No, I think they're actually midgets.
What? Oh man. This can't be right. This looks like smaller than my 9-year-olds.
Well, it's perspective. It's up from up down.
Compared to these feet.
I think that's legit.
No way. I gotta look it up. Maybe we can ask Rock. Paul is Brian Krasenstein. All right, anybody want to take an over under here?
I mean, looking at this picture, he's got to be 5'4".
All right, drum roll, please. Drum roll, please. I need to get. Yeah, 5'5". Like, he must just be. They must be standing next to, like, you and me, basically.
How tall are they?
5'5".
Oh, do I get a prize or something?
Is that what you said?
I said 5'4", 5'5". Because I
Yeah,
judge, like, like how tall can that guy be? I mean, that guy's got to be like 6'7". Oh my goodness!
Here's your prize.
Oh man, I'm telling you, this guy's account is absolutely brilliant. Totally brilliant.
Oh, I thought you meant Stephen King. No.
No.
Yeah. I'm not a follower. I guess I should be.
He just
Sold.
goes through all day and trolling. It's great. So anyway, I was saying he was trolling like this transgender Jeopardy winner, and the transgender Jeopardy winner tweeted to him and said, like, "Get to me when you hit 100." What'd she say? Hey, call me when you have 100,000 followers. I'll wait. And this was 22 hours ago. He's got 186,000 right now, and he says, "Call me when you're at 160."
Oh, look at that, JV Pritzker, huh?
Oh,
what do we
boy.
got?
So the whole thing started with Amy Schneider. Do you know who that is? Jeopardy winner.
No.
Someone said he tweeted out, "I've seen a lot of confusion around this. So just FYI, Doge is actually an acronym. It stands for Desperate Old Guy Energy, and you have to admit it's excellent. The sweaty vibe of a 50-year-old businessman demanding that his nephew agree that he has Riz." And someone said, "Cool, you have Doge," to this transgender.
Oh man!
Oh, God. So then I find retards comments on it and says, "I found one," and this contestant says, "Or like a 40-year-old car salesman who thinks it's super cool and edgy to still call people retards like he's in 6th grade." Oh man, the stuff you see on Twitter, Harry Sisson. Oh man.
This Kung Fu Grip, Chinese Opportunity Association, controlled by the CCP, funnels billions into 50,000 liberal NGOs, including funneling USAID funds. Interesting. That's the first time I've heard that.
How many NGOs are there?
How many like total NGOs?
Yeah.
Like US listed 501c3s.
Yeah.
That colloquially are known as what delineates a normal NGO from a standard 501c3? Are they 501c3s or is it a different
No, I think they are.
Yeah. Okay. How many US NGOs are? Let's see, shall we? That's the first time I heard it. I want to dig. If you Kung Fu Grip, if you got a source on that, could you tell us? Oof, 1.5 million. What's the total top line? These. Ooh. Come on. What do we got? It would be potentially $1 trillion or more dollars.
Yikes.
In top line funding. That's a lot of money. I'm presuming that means annually.
It's 1% of the debt.
Yeah. Well, it's like some of that's probably,
or 10%.
Foreign sourced.
That's insane. Think about how much money is flowing through these, Mark.
Yeah, and it's like how little money it takes to buy an election. Kind of crazy. Really kind of crazy. Although Kamala Harris wasn't able to do it this time.
Someone once told me, a very rich man, if you want to make a lot of money, start a PAC or a 501c3. Apparently that's why.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything, and you get a lot of government cheese. I've never gotten any government.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten tax refunds when I was in like high school. That's about it. By the way, I think they're shutting down 120 IRS offices. If you're interested.
Wait, what?
120 IRS offices are being shut down.
Wow. Yeah, I heard 65% of the EPA is on the chopping block too. I can't, it's impossible to keep up with all this stuff. This one I thought was interesting. This is an opinion piece from The Hill saying, please, CBS, do not settle that Trump lawsuit. for $20 billion. Stick it out.
60 Minutes one.
Somebody needs to fight. Somebody needs to stand up for the First Amendment. So you, CBS, you do it with your shareholder value. Please do it for the it's pretty crazy.
Let's see something here.
Everybody's looking for some kind of desperate rallying cry. And I saw a Washington Examiner piece. Or if I could find it.
I'm just trying to see if CBS gets any government funding. Or how much they get.
On the spending. Does anybody have government spending up? Could back us up on CBS?
CBS, ABC, and NBC apparently get it.
This is probably react worthy. This is the Washington Examiner's Resistance 2.0 power rankings. Sudden power vacuum at the top of the Democrat Party has created a fresh competition to steer the Democratic ship through the political wilderness. Melange of contenders has emerged from across the Democratic sweep. Squad sisters, media mouths, graying senators, and motley liberal luminaries. I like this guy's pizzazz here, this writer. Vie for the influence and notoriety that came with being the face of the party. And on that list, Boss Hogg, Chuckles, Chuck E. Cheese Schumer, the Nutty Professor, Elizabeth Warren, and presumably these are ranked in orders. Somehow Stephen A. Smith got in here.
He's doing everything he can to get in the middle of the fray.
Yeah. Princess Jasmine Crockett, Pothole Pete.
That's a good one.
Recently removed his pronouns from his Twitter bio. Mark Cuban, Lake House Bernie, the salad spinner.
Who's
and
that?
Finally, Kamala Harris. And then finally, AOC.
The Bronx Bomber. That's good.
That's sick, though. Look at this list of people.
That's great.
Like, how can they do anything with that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. The front runner here is Kamala Harris, probably.
Yeah.
Like, if I pulled this, she'd probably get 40-50% of this.
I mean, I don't know how, but I guess.
Well, $2 billion in name recognition, and everybody in the world said that she was the smartest, most capable vice president we ever had.
Oh, man. I meet some of those people. Where do these
And then
people...
Bernie. Bernie's out there.
I don't think he's got it in him.
Oh, he's not going all the way. Bernie's not in it for the candidacy. He's in it for Lake House number 4.
Yeah, his wife makes a lot of damn money in ad sales.
Oh.
A lot.
Wait, his campaign is funding an organization that his wife is involved with?
Something like that.
Yeah.
She does the media buying or meeting, and I think what's the going rate? Like 10%, 15% on a media buy. So, millions and millions of dollars in TV spent. You do the math, $2 million a campaign in your pocket.
I love the hypocrisy that it's all done with this like anti-communist or anti-capitalist flair.
Yep.
It's like sick.
I think we spoke about this last time, and it was maybe with you or Roger Stone, of when I figured out Bernie was a total fraud. I always thought he practiced what he preached, but after it was stolen from him and given to Hillary Clinton, and then he endorsed her, I'm like, this guy's a total BS artist. He's a fraud. Like Tulsi Gabbard went the complete opposite way and went balls to the wall on Hillary, suing her when this pathetic old man just rolled over on his back like a toad.
No refunds.
No
refunds.
By the way, we've got
a crazy.
Go ahead.
He came out again with I'm once again asking for your support. I thought that was like the most ridiculous tone deaf thing I think I've ever seen.
Did you see that he was like having rallies in Ohio packed?
Now?
Yeah, like maybe 2 weeks ago.
Oof.
Yeah, he was having like, I don't know what even they were for, but they were packed. Because he's got a very dedicated, loyal base. I mean, that's just the truth of the matter. It's not a big one, but it's dedicated and loyal to his insane, absurd views.
Let's just see. Feel the burn. What on earth?
Best billboard I've ever seen was in, I'll never forget. It was outside LAX. It was outside right by the infamous In-N-Out Burger by LAX airport. And it was a Bernie Sanders slogan, feel the burn. And then underneath it said freestdcheck.com.
Oh no.
It was a real billboard.
No.
On my own eyes.
No.
You could probably find
Look
it
at
online.
this. Bernie Sanders subreddit's only got 66,000 members. And that's not that high. That's really not that high.
No.
And unless they're on like Blue Sky or something, this is sorted by hot. And then the hottest post on Twitter under Bernie Sanders right now has 341 upvotes.
That's nothing.
And now this is what they're talking about. Bernie Sanders on battling a government of, by, and for the billionaires. It's like the only billionaire they have is Elon Musk. This is like Elon Musk broke them. You can't continue Clown World when Clown World has been revealed as like government grift. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, 66,000 is weak.
Yeah, like 49 upvotes, 39 upvotes, 486 upvotes. What are we missing, folks? Do these people all go like underground to Discord or something?
Discord?
I don't know. Like, I guess Bernie people would probably be on Discord. Shots fired. You got called out, John. There's no way the Bernie's. Oh,
maybe it wasn't. Can we get it on Twitter? I'm pretty sure it was Ohio. Just let me see. Bernie Sanders rally. I'm pretty sure it was Ohio. Very seldom am I wrong, but I'm wrong. Let's see.
No, you consume. Well, you get 2 to 3 times more news than I do. That's for sure.
I know a lot of damn reading. I'm sorry. It was Omaha.
Oh.
Nebraska. So it was close. But a packed room. I mean, totally packed.
We got.
What's the date on this? All right, good.
Yeah, this is the one, February 21st, but I don't want to listen to these people
Put
talk.
it simply, U.S. Senate back Omaha. And tonight,
who's that? Like,
there we go.
Light?
Nebraska tonight.
Our sister station, W. Trump administration.
I hear.
Yeah, there they are. Oh, hey, we got a super chat. Ruperto Pasillas. Oh, snap, another live. Good to see you, Mark. Yeah. 3 nights a week, 9 o'clock. I think that's the plan, and we're sticking to it. Appreciate the $10. Thanks so much.
Hold on, I got to write this down. $10 divided by 2. $5, right?
You got to go live, John.
By the way, we're streaming out on all our Ludov's media channels right now, and we've got a few hundred people live.
Wow.
Across our platforms. So
outstanding. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this late night. They're used to me going live at either 1 p.m. or 6 p.m. You guys are trooping to stay up.
All right, I'm going to do it against my better judgment. I'm going to go to Blue Sky.
Oh, it's your favorite. You love this thing.
Well, I might have to blur some stuff out.
Wow, what a bunch of losers. Look at that. Butterfly?
What's that?
Wasn't Twitter like a butterfly? A bird. It was a bird.
Oh, yeah. It's a blatant ripoff.
And they have what a bunch of losers.
You got to be very careful. If I search the word peg here, we're gonna be really hurting.
Come on, let's go. Do it.
No, I'm not doing it.
Do it. By the way, I won't bash YouTube because we're on YouTube right now. I couldn't stream my
so-
show out on YouTube today.
You did?
I couldn't.
Oh.
You know why? Because we spoke about COVID.
Oh, yeah. YouTube's been good to me. YouTube's actually been my biggest partner in spreading medical and election integrity misinformation.
Wow.
They've been very helpful to me. We only ever got one strike. We got a bunch of stuff demonetized, but so it looks like Bernie Sanders is getting a lot of uptake on Blue Sky. It looks like the Bernie bros are aging and outgrowing Reddit and going to Blue Sky. And at least he's getting 9,000 likes. Meeting with Vermont veterans to discuss homelessness. 10,000 likes. Talking about Putin.
What is their obsession with Putin? I'll never understand it.
Yeah. That's a tough one to answer. Have we polled on Putin? I'll have to take a look. He's been vilified for sure. I think it was when they were, here's what it comes down to. Actually, we might be able to prove this with numbers. I think they had to go all in on Putin in order to sell the Russia collusion hoax. I think that's what it was. It was Putin wasn't really our mortal enemy, evil dictator until he was associated with Trump. And that was probably an offshoot of Hillary Clinton neoconservatism. Maybe not.
But Putin was never like accused of anything in the Russian correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like Putin's cronies. Like Putin himself was like never accused of anything in the Russia collusion, to the best of my recollection. You know?
Yeah, but logic doesn't enter into it.
No, absolutely
Literally,
not.
like, we got to take down Trump, so just make Putin as bad as possible.
Someone the other day I was arguing with kept saying we're going to speak Russian soon. We're all going to be speaking Russian. And I know like one word in Russian. It's da, which means yes. I said da. And I said, we've got a better chance of everyone in this country speaking Spanish before we speak Russian because of all the illegals that your people have allowed to come in this country. And that's very true. Your kids are in school. You have young kids in school, Mark. You should be more concerned than me.
I mean, they're not an economic or a superpower. They have no force projection capability.
Yeah.
They have a lot of nukes, but they're sane enough not to destroy their own. I don't think they're a first strike problem.
No.
But this is from 2007. This is as far back as I could find. And Putin had a 16% favorability rating among Americans. Unfavorable at 66%. Unfortunately, the crosstabs are broken. So let's see what else I can. See if I have it recently. Maybe Putin's in the name. So that would, 2007. Those are pretty bad numbers. Bet you they're higher now.
I'd love to see what the Republican Democrat male female is.
Yeah, I wish I had it. I don't know why. What do we have here?
We've got a super chat on our channel, Mark.
Oh,
one of my first ones in a while. From Pama 3600, we've got $2. Thank you, Pama.
So now we've got in 22. So this would have been right after the invasion. 70% agreeing, 49% strongly that Putin cannot remain in power. 25% disagree. So that's higher than his favorability rating in 2007. So it got more polarized, and it didn't really change that much over 20 couple of years. This was just from March of 22.
Did you do this poll?
Yeah, this is us.
So let me ask you a question, because I almost criticized it. That's why I wanted to ask before I figured out how hard I was going to go. Why ask the American people? What difference does it make to ask the American people if he should stay in power or not? Isn't that like everything we go against?
So like it's a policy. We're testing a policy. This is somebody's quote. Somebody must have said this in the news. I wonder if we say, so it's like, hey, somebody put it in the news.
I think Joe Biden said he can't stay in power.
Was it him?
I think it was Joe Biden. Yeah.
Yeah, 79% of
Wasn't Joe
Democrats.
Biden. Yeah, there you go. I was waiting for someone in the chats to tell me I was wrong again. But
Yeah, they're probably lagging a little bit because of YouTube mid-roll ads.
Yeah, the only reason I remember that is because it created like a whole big thing, and Trump came out and actually said something about it.
Oh, I get $2 times 50%.
I knew someone was going to say it.
I'll just buy you a beer next time we.
Beautiful.
Dude, I'm surprised Bernie isn't still running his mouth about needing N95 masks. Yeah, I don't see any politicians masking up. It's just the people that watch MSNBC who are just forever gone. Imagine living, it's either virtue signaling or fear. It's one of those two things. And neither of them are pretty.
Yeah. Pama 3600 says we really need to start minding our own damn business. What do you think about that, Mark? America minding our own business?
Yeah, I'm trying yes, but also like we have a leadership role and we just need to go about it different. Like our country's great. We should charge the premium we're worth. We shouldn't let people screw us over. And we should know what's going on. The problem is that we don't have any assets that we can trust. Like I don't trust our State Department. I don't trust our CIA, even with the people at the head. So somehow we have to get to a place where our intelligence agencies actually do protect us from threats to democracy. And that's the weird one. That's the attack. Literally the words are threat to democracy. That's what this whole damn thing's about. A disagreement over what that means.
I wonder if what the world would be like, Mark, if we did just mind our own business and had nothing to do with anywhere, like Canada, right? If we just stayed in North America, didn't send everybody overseas everywhere to every damn military base in every damn country, what the world would be like.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think we have that. It's like we're not Switzerland, dude.
Yeah, but what if
we would be not an economic superpower? We can't be in our position without being like we are. It's not the word adversarial, right? It's probably not the right word, but we're competitors with other foreign superpowers, and it is a somewhat globally connected economy. I don't know what to tell you. Like just because we're isolationists doesn't mean the fact that foreign exchange doesn't exist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm saying militarily wise, if we just minded our own business, if we let Israel do its own thing and Gaza and Palestine and let them do their own thing.
Oh, well, yeah.
We never invaded Iraq. If we never went to Afghanistan, if World War II never happened, if Vietnam never happened, if the Gulf War never, what things would be like in America.
Interesting. The World War II one's really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
World War II was out of our control. Ultimately.
Was it though? I think we were trying to provoke Japan into attacking Pearl Harbor. I think.
Yes.
Yes.
That.
Yeah.
It's just it's an interesting concept, an interesting theory.
Yeah, you should ask Grok.
Listen, I don't know how to use Grok.
What are you just asking stuff?
Pama 3600 says minding our own business doesn't mean isolationists, which is I think what we just
Well, yeah, it ultimately comes down to having the integrity to draw the line between what's mission and what's not, and then also the problem is there's only one president, and everybody in the damn government thinks they're president,
Right.
And so it takes a certain type of humility to be like, oh no, I report to somebody. I have a boss and I can't just go make whatever the hell decision I want to because it doesn't match what my boss is. Like any company you do that, you get fired right away.
Yeah.
And we've gone 30 years without firing anybody. Like 40 years, 50 years, whatever. You can't get fired. It's like, oh yeah, they're just wantonly ignore the will of the head of the executive branch. Oh, you can't fire us. Like, that's literally where it's at. It's disgusting.
You know, it's interesting to see that Elon Musk today. He referred to Donald Trump many times, Mr. President. I'm here to serve at the behest of the president. It's sort of very interesting because people look at it, you know, obviously from the Marxist left as Elon Musk is running this country. I don't know if you saw the other day the vile video they had playing in the government offices.
Oh yeah. Oh, they found that guy.
Yeah, they did apparently. Isn't it crazy, Mark? A new administration, we find people who like leak in a week. Leak in a week. That's an interesting one. But we're finding people who do bad things.
Yeah, I don't think Donald Trump was ever fully in control in 2016.
No.
And now he is. And he went through a pretty long and convoluted path to get there. But once he made it through that personal journey, it's like, oh, you just hired people like not who the Heritage Foundation told him to, not who Chris Christie told him to. That's the hack. That's the secret to success. Like ignore Chris Christie and all of the people in his ear, the self-interested. I guess he's like gotten a lot better at spotting grifters.
By the way, do you know why Chris Christie got fired in the first administration so quickly?
No, I do not.
So Donald Trump hired Chris Christie to come in and do his transition team, head up the transition. Chris Christie starts hiring people, Mark, and they're lobbyists. He's hiring lobbyists from every corner of the government. And Trump, word for word, goes to Chris Christie, Chris, WTF, I literally campaigned on getting rid of lobbyists, and you're hiring them. And he fired him. Truly unbelievable.
And now Chris Christie is part of Principles First. Dublin Marley. Trump is trying to peel away India and Russia from the BRICS and stop that economic bloc. Definitely Russia. I think he's got a good relationship with Modi. I don't know all the details there, Sean. You could probably add more, but I think that's the whole point of this. It's like end this conflict and get a good deal with Russia and create some kind of economic cooperation because you're going to undermine the BRICS.
The problem with India is you can't really trust Modi. He's sort of a snake. When Russia went to war with Ukraine, who was buying all their oil? Yeah. You know? So, you know, you want to stop this war and then you've got Modi over there buying this damn stuff at a discount. So, you know, I guess you can't really trust anybody, right? But, you know, I told you this last week. I said, don't trust anybody. Don't even trust me. Because you can't. So, you know, I think we got to keep a keen eye on them and just wait and see because I think they're for sale. India's for sale to whoever the highest bidder is.
Well, we should be able to outbid Russia.
Well, the good news is China and India hate each other. So, you know, you sort of sever one connection there for whatever that's worth.
Oh, boy. Uh-oh. They're trying it again.
What happened?
Oh, are you kidding me? Mystery illness in Congo kills more than 50 people, including children who ate a bat.
Mark, what's the saying? Fool me once, shame on me.
Right?
Fool me twice, shame on you. What's the third one?
Yeah, the first thing I thought was, well, we must have like 5 different bio research facilities there.
Has anyone seen Anthony Fauci lately?
Yeah, what's he up to? He's probably like hiding under his bed sweating, packing heat because he doesn't have security protection anymore.
He should be.
Yeah.
That man is a crook.
Yeah, I think they're coming for him.
There's a meme about him that he looks like a evil villain. I don't know who it is. You're better with that stuff than I am.
What's the latest on Fauci? Even in the news? He hasn't bubbled to the top of any of the Maha stuff, any of the RFK stuff, has he?
No, I don't think so.
It's coming.
He's literally been. I mean, he's like 80-something years old, so I don't think he's a big social media guy. But, I don't think he's a technology guy who's going to be sitting on his computer every day. But, I don't know. I wonder what the hell he's up to. He made enough money to get his own private security, though. That's for sure.
Yeah. Lots and lots of testing deals with pharma. And this is we must put an end to dangerous viral gain of function research. That's why I reintroduced legislation today to do just that. Dr. Roger Marshall. I don't know this guy.
Kansas.
Yeah.
I think he's actually a legitimate doctor, too.
So that's news.
Not a PhD.
Yeah, nothing else.
I mean, gain of function is such a. I guess in a way we need it. In a way we don't. I don't like the fact that they do all this testing on animals. I'm sort of a softy when it comes to animals, even if it's lab rats.
I don't like that it's in poorly controlled countries that we don't have, funded through shady sources.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah, off the books.
Yeah. Easily controlled.
Yep.
And hard to get to in a case. I mean, think about how difficult it would be if the U.S. wanted to go audit the Wuhan lab. China's not letting us in there.
True.
Very
but, the voters here, they get it. How important is it for federal authorities to investigate the origins of COVID-19? You just don't see numbers this high. This is 82%. That's one of the biggest majorities that you'll ever see. Only 4% say not at all important. And 68 said, oh, yeah, of course it came from a Chinese laboratory.
Yeah.
Of course. But here's what's incredible. John, look at the date on this one.
25th. So that's
2021.
After Biden was sworn in. 3 months, 4 months.
This was like barely less than a year after COVID. Or no, a little more than a year. And everybody's like, oh, it's definitely from a lab. We definitely need to investigate it. It's, you know what I mean? It's like they saw through all the garbage. And then the press lied to them for 2 years. Absolutely disgusting.
And if you spoke out about it, you still get, like I said, you still get censored. I get censored by YouTube.
Yep. And it all got funded through EcoHealth Alliance from our own taxpayer dollars and other nefarious sources.
And we can't ask questions about it. I had on Naomi Wolf to talk about this today.
I wanted to hear about that.
She's got a new book out, The Pfizer Papers. And her big thing is like women's health and things like that, fertility, infertility, birth rate declines and things like that. And pretty much she wants accountability. Like, Mark, we all do. We want accountability for these vaccine makers. Why is it that they're the only industry in the world that can't be sued for doing a bad job? They're the only industry in the world that can't be sued for killing people. I mean, how is that? Why is that? Why have we allowed it to get like that? Why is America and New Zealand the only two countries in the world that allow these pharmaceutical companies to be on every single TV show, every single commercial? You watch the Super Bowl, you watch Fox News, you watch Newsmax, you watch anything, and these pharmaceutical companies are on there promoting their drugs. You know, why is that? Why is Big Pharma so against medical marijuana? I'm not a marijuana smoker, but I know people who need it to get through their days, who it helps their anxiety. And you know what, Mark? I'd rather my friends and these people have the munchies than get addicted to some sort of Big Pharma medicine that's going to have them hooked. Why is it that Big Pharma is against people using CBD to get rid of their pain instead of using highly addictive Percocets or Oxycontins or any of that stuff. And, it makes you wonder. It really makes you wonder. What
it comes down to is that anytime you have a component of the GDP that's got $1 trillion in front of it,
yeah,
that's it. It's too much money.
But the whistle should have been blown, Mark, when Purdue Pharma is settling like perhaps the largest malpractice lawsuit in the history of this country. Like that should have been the line in the sand, where people should have said, the government should have said, like, enough's enough. We've got to get that. We're working on getting the military industrial complex completely out of existence and in wars, but we really need to expedite the process on getting big pharma the hell out of our lives. I'm not saying don't go see the doctor, don't take medicine, but if you look at this opioid crisis, Mark, it wasn't created by Joe Schmo selling cocaine on the side of the street. It was created by doctors who overprescribed people. I got 4 wisdom teeth pulled out, Mark. I got 40 Oxycontins. They gave me 40 Oxycontins.
Enabled by massive pharmacy operations. Enabled,
right.
In many cases by very large corporations.
Right. And we need to start looking at that. The doctors need to be held accountable because they're the ones who started this whole thing, overprescribing people. I'm telling you, I took 1 Oxycontin, Mark, and the next morning I woke up and I dumped them all down the toilet. I said, it made me feel like I was invincible. I got the best night's sleep in the world. I had 4 teeth just pulled out. I felt like nothing had ever happened to me. And I'm like, this is crazy. How are they giving this to people? And there's a lot of people who don't have the willpower to do what I did. And it's what gets them into these situations. Starts with prescription drugs, Mark, and then it goes to the street to cocaine or fentanyl or heroin or whatever you can get your hands on, because eventually the supply runs out. And so back to Naomi Wolf. She wants accountability of the vaccine companies for myocarditis, for women's infertility, for women's miscarriages, and all these Pfizer papers she's gone through and written a book on it show links that they knew what was going on before.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Here it is from a little over almost 2 weeks. RFK Jr. will use the RICO Act of 1970 to expose collusion between medical boards, journals, and big pharma. I don't see the government there, but I'm sure it's in the mix. Grab your popcorn. You'll love to see it. That's big. This is trillions of dollars. This is people's lives. This is major criminality. Complete lack of ethics. Complete conflicts of interest everywhere. Corruption of science. Like, it's all going to get looked at. I guess we'll see how far it goes.
And it's a killing off of a species, as if, I don't know if it's on purpose or not. I don't want to be a total conspiracy theorist, but Bill Gates often talks about population control. It's no secret that Social Security is running out of money. Medicaid and Medicare are on the brink of going out of business.
Well, if they haven't thought of it yet, it's just a matter of time, right? It's like everything's on the table when you're morally flexible.
These people are a little bit more evil and vindictive than us, Mark. The chances are, if it is bad for society, they've already thought of it. But not enough people talk about it. Not enough people talk about, like I said, Purdue Pharma settling one of the largest lawsuits in the history of our country, and they're still allowed to prescribe these pills. And you know what, Mark? At the end of the lawsuit, they paid the money, and they said, we'll take out some of the addictive chemicals in it. Why are they in there in the first place?
Yeah, right.
Is nobody questioning, why are you putting addictive chemicals in Percocets or Oxycontin?
Sick. Absolutely sick. We got a super chat. Ruperto again, $5. Thank you very much. Mark, when I can't remember the medication I take, I remember the one with the sad egg. That's how well their marketing works. Listen, I'm probably going to die early because I don't take any medication. I don't know. They tried to put me on a statin at 35. I told them to screw off. I'm not going to do it.
He's right. Roberto's right. Everyone's on Ozempic these days, and everyone can recite the commercial. Oh, Ozempic. I mean, they literally do. And I have a brother-in-law, a very smart guy who constantly jokes, Mark. He'll talk about like the whatever the drug is, and he'll read the disclaimer at the end. May kill you, may give you a heart attack, may give you a stroke, may make you go blind. Like all these crazy things.
John, that's funny. My kids don't watch TV because we got rid of cable on, guess the date.
Let me think. Either January 20th of 2021, January 6th of 2021, or November of 2020.
November 4th, 2020 is the day that we canceled. Is the day that we canceled cable. Thank you, Brett Baer. So my kids like have literally no idea whatsoever what a commercial is. They just don't know. Because even it's like when you get like pre and mid roll ads on like Disney Plus, they just don't know.
Yeah.
And so like the first time they watched TV in like a long time was the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in. Oh, it might have been a 23 or 20. Yeah, probably 23.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the exact experience. I sat there and counted like 26 pharmaceutical ads in an hour.
Yeah.
Hour. And what my kids are like, listening to the side effects. And my oldest is like, what? People take that? Like he couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it. He's like, what? So it was a pretty funny thing to see. But so, John, I have another super chat.
Uh-oh.
But this one,
we're making a lot of money tonight, Mark.
This is for you. Maybe this is another beer. So you have to respond to this one.
That's beautiful. I love it. Thank you, Roberto. I like to think this business we're in is a business of superheroes. It's not one where we're making millions of dollars, but it's one where Mark and I are able to sit on here for 2 hours, for 3 hours, and give you guys an honest perspective about the real world things that we see and we read. I was telling I read probably 4 or 5 hours a day. I don't watch television. But I probably read 3 or 4 hours a day. When I get off this live stream, I'm going to go sit in bed and I go through the Daily Mail and I go through Breitbart and I go through the Gateway Pundit and I'll read probably for 2 hours before I go to bed. And I wake up in the morning. The first thing I do before I put my contacts in is I put my glasses on and I read for another 2 hours. And your kids, Mark, are you sent me a picture the other day, adorable kids, and they're going to grow up smarter than the average kid and probably follow in their father's footsteps and go to the best colleges in the country. And it's because of
the college, but
well, if they decide, but and it's thanks to good parenting, and the way that you teach your kids. And we were talking about this last week, and it has I think a big impact on the trajectory of their lives. The parenting is massive. Maybe that's something you do polling on. The relationship between parenting and how kids end up, how adolescents end up, the trajectory of their lives,
We got to look at stuff like that for sure. I think there is a problem in general with our society as order decays and as we approach the fourth turning, just to people not sacrificing. And I don't know if it comes from a massive focus on individualism or just a function of where we're at in the death of our institutions. But like, I'll just give you one example. I was a Boy Scout when I was growing up, and there were a lot of disagreeable men who ran that, and they would tell you if you were doing the wrong thing, and everybody toed the line and they ran a tight ship. And that's because they're like, hey, in my head, this is the right way to do things. And I'm going to do it, even though it might not be popular and I might not be all these kids' little super special friend.
Right.
And I don't have to worry about their feelings because it's objectively the right thing to do. And I'm volunteering my time and making sacrifices. And we have a lot less of that.
Yeah. Because everyone's scared, honestly. You and I talk about this a lot. Everyone's scared to tell people what it is, how it is. Back when we were in school, you're only a little bit older than me, but I think we probably grew up in similar times. Kids got bullied. You bullied each other. It was all love and hate. And the next day, it all disappeared, right? It was like it never happened again. And I think it's like part of a healthy society. Everyone has their days they get beat up on the playground. You get back up, Mark, the next day, and you come back over, and you get ready for the next battle. And it's what makes you who you are. It's what's etched in your DNA. It's what defines you as a person, and it makes you. It's a growing process, right? We learn from our mistakes. We learn from growing pains and things like that. And I've had my fair share of playground fights and fights on the football field, and all the dumb things that you do as a kid and you grow up. And you know what, Mark? If I do it all over again, I'd do it the same exact way. Lived a great life, with a great deal of fun.
Something about the upbringings of the kids in the last 10 or 15 years that ubiquitously has problems. It might be the cell phones, it might be some other stuff, but
you know what? Your kids, Mark, are never going to experience what it's like. And you probably have a decent amount of people who are in their 40s and 50s. Hopefully, none in Staten Island, New York. But your kids are never going to know what it's like to grow up and throw a roll of toilet paper over someone's trees in their front house on Halloween.
Well, that is not strictly correct, John. I keep it real. No, it's good. We homeschooled them for a few years. I refused to put them through COVID. I can happily announce that my 4 children individually have each spent less than 10 hours of their life behind a mask. And I had to make a lot of sacrifices for because of the homeschooling. They read all day, and then we do crazy and fun stuff. And so we have a potato cannon. We do this stuff. They're out there with compound bows, and it's like a lot of kids don't get that, and I've been lucky to be able to give them to it. So,
you know what? I was always raised, Mark, if you teach your kids the bad things and what they're not supposed to do, I think it's like an easier process. I think I learned curse words early on, and my parents said, "These are the words. Don't say them." It was a lot easier than me figuring it out on my own and them saying, "Don't say that." And then I'm like, well, no, I want to say it now because you told me don't say it,
That's where I differ from my parents. I think I saw Die Hard at 8. My dad's like, oh, you'll love it. My kids, it's like they didn't see How to Train Your Dragon until they were 8. We got more beers, John. Thank you, G, for $10. And she says, both of you get a beer on me, but I'll have to meet up with John to give him his beer. So, but actually, my $5 buys 3 beers because I got Natty Daddy up in the fridge.
Oh my God.
No, I'm actually a beer snob. But whatever.
What was that thing you were ordering in DC? It was
it's just an IPA.
No, you were calling it Goose Head or Dog
Goose
Head
Island?
No, it was
Goose
Head.
Island. Oh, you're talking about the Flying Dog.
Yeah.
John laughed at me because I'm from New Jersey and I ordered a flying fish and it was actually Flying Dog down there. And who names their brewery like that? When there's already a major, but it's a New Jersey thing. It's a New Jersey thing.
Oh God. Thank you, G.
And Deanna Brunk, $20. Really appreciate it. Maybe YouTube cut off any comments, but just put them up there if they did. Thanks so much.
Generous folks tonight.
Yeah, this is cool. Love it.
Late night poll talk with Mark R. Mitchell Mark _R _ Mitchell.
It's a poll party. Well, hold on. Here's what we're gonna do, John. This is gonna be fun.
It was my favorite honest pollster.
The only honest pollster. I was talking to John McIntyre from Real Clear Politics today, and he said, "Oh, that's funny." All right, let's do this. We're asking Grok,
McIntyre who worked for Donald Trump.
I don't know. Co-founder of Real Clear Politics. Okay, here we go. Grok. You literally just talk to it. It's like instead of searching for something, you just talk to it. It's you have a blue check, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Draw a picture of people at a poll party. This could be anything. This is a risky click right here. This is a risky click. What do we got? What do we got? It's gonna be a pool party, and it's gonna assume that I misspelled it, but then I'm gonna have to correct it. Oh no! Oh no, John. What is this? This isn't what I wanted. Look, they look so happy though.
Those don't look like polls. That looks
man.
like derivatives and
Oh no!
analysis and
Oh, I'm gonna quit now. This makes me sad.
oh, that's great.
Oh man. Wait. Okay. I run a show on Wednesdays called Rasmussen's Poll Party. Make me a logo. What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Mark, are you still in New Jersey? Why? Good question. I love this state. I was born and raised on the shore. It's a good state. It's got its problems. It might be red one day.
Goodness. Reddit Wednesdays. How did it know?
Oh, it'll go back through my tweets and it's like, oh, this guy tweets about Reddit a lot.
Wow. Yeah, none of those really resemble you. I'm not seeing it. Can you ask it to put your picture on something?
Draw a picture of me.
Hopefully it's like you holding a balloon.
Well, it's gonna like no, it's like okay, he's like tall white male brunette, in a collared shirt, and then it's just gonna draw a random tall white brunette. Oh, that's not good.
I like this one on the left. Can you send me that?
No, they're so old.
Can you send?
What is this? What is this? What is he carrying? A beanbag chair? What is that lump?
He has a receding hairline. You don't have one of those.
No, I guess they like. Oh, this is so sad.
That I could see being you in like 30 years.
Well, this is like the guy that they think writes my tweets.
That's the guy. The guy on the right, by the way, is like a mixture of a baby was had it between like Nicolas Cage and Mark Mitchell. That's what it would have looked like. It's like
oh no. No. This is because people have asked like Grok to draw them, and it does a good job. I don't know how to fix this. This is so sad.
This is
so disgusting. Sad. And this is worse than Grok 2. Grok 2 was better. That's sad too.
Under a rainbow.
I can't believe you haven't played around with AI. You're gonna love this. Draw me 100 hands. This is the kill shot here. I bet you Grok's gonna mess this up because they're really bad at drawing hands. Oh no, it's just drawing me. Oh no. Oh, it's combining those two prompts. We need to stop this now.
What is this? Oh my goodness!
It totally whiffed on that prompt.
Oh my goodness, this is great.
Harsh AI. That's a harsh AI. Yeah.
That's great. So here comes Mr. Magoo.
Yep, that's about right.
Oh, that's so great. Oh my goodness. I gotta learn how to do all this. I really only got into Twitter maybe the last year or so. Now I'm highly addicted to it.
Oh, hours and hours a day. I didn't start until August. It's incredible.
I was talking with Roger Stone the other day, and I was up at like 4 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning or something. And I go, like, what the hell were you doing up at 4 o'clock last night, Roger? He goes, I can't sleep. I go, why? He goes, I'm angry. Like, what are you angry about? He goes, I won't sleep until Andrew Weissman's in jail.
Oh man, I gotta meet Roger. He sounds like a fun time.
Oh, when he comes up here, we'll get you to. He's as real as they come, and him and I together, it's a very bad mixture because we're both evil people. Oh, but he's such a good time, man. You know what? He's been around, Mark. He's been around the block. He's seen and done and heard everything. I mean, he was the guy who originally drafted Trump in 2020.
Was he mid-70s?
Yeah, somewhere around that.
Yeah. Well, this is the kind of accountability I like to see, and it looks like I don't have to wait for Andrew Weissman to be in jail. Florida voter fraud case that could overturn Democrat cheat by mail. Florida is comparatively fraud-free thanks to Ron DeSantis, but even here, What's going on beneath the surface is breathtaking. Is this what you were talking about? I think you had a different case, right?
Yeah, if you go to the Gateway Pundit, they have one in Ohio.
Interesting.
You know who would be a good guest for you to have on this show? Michael Gableman, former Chief Justice of the Wisconsin Supreme Court. He was the man who was appointed to look into the Mark Zuckerbucks in Wisconsin.
Oh,
and he was the man
interesting.
who did the report on it. Very good guy. There you go.
The only people on earth who polled on Zuckerbucks was us. And U.S. likely voters were strongly against Mark Zuckerberg interfering in elections. I think like it was 72-9%. Like
Wow.
major bad move on that guy's part. And favorability of Facebook really took a hit because of that. What do we have here? Fighting election fraud. Big update. 20 Ohio counties launch investigations into suspicious progressive group that allegedly turned in piles of phony voter registrations. Yeah, wow.
This is just one of the many. There's one in Arizona. I think there's one in Wisconsin. I mean, it's everywhere. And you know the nice thing about it, it seems like it's all silent right now. There's nothing explosive. Everyone's just relaxing, taking it easy. There's no insurrections, no overthrowing of governments. They're letting the legislative process play out. And we may soon find out the 2020 election was indeed stolen, Mark.
People are going to be like, yeah, I knew that already. I want the Diddy list. What they're going to be like.
We all want that.
There was Nancy Mace, I think, did a Twitter poll. Did you see it?
No.
Let me try and find it. It's pretty funny. It's a really good vibe check. Yeah. All right. I think it was probably within. Hope it's on her official account.
She's went off the rails a tiny bit lately.
Yeah, pretty intense. Especially the stuff with the bathroom.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's like that was intense.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, we get it. None of us want to share a bathroom with a guy or a girl or whatever, vice versa. Do something about it. Twitter tweeting it out and making videos is not gonna move the needle.
Oh, I can't find it. She put a Twitter poll up. I think it was her. It might have been Luna about disclosure. And it was like, what do you want disclosure most on? And it was like aliens, I forget the other one, JFK and Epstein files, and Epstein won like 90 to the other ones were like single digits. It was like ridiculous. It's like, no aliens. No, we don't want that. We want the Epstein list. That's where people's heads are at. And it's like, that's just one more sign. And again, it's Twitter, right? But that's one more sign that like this is a very tenacious period. Like it is really hard to describe what Americans think right now because they're happy with Trump, as happy as they've ever been, but like not that happy.
Yeah.
They're really happy in the direction of the country, record number. But again, it's like not that happy. They're 70% of them are mad about all the level of fraud and stuff like that. But yeah, like there's an intense focus on people who are politically connected on all this stuff. We've never seen anything like it, and it's not going to go away.
Yeah. You know, the thing, like the alien thing, obviously, we spoke about this last time. I'd love to know if aliens exist, but I'm sort of like in the mindset, Mark. I don't care to look into things that I know I'm never going to get like a straight answer on. The 2020 election, like I won't watch something or read something if I know it's a cliffhanger at the end or I'm never going to find out like what happens. Like it annoys the heck out of me that I will never know what happens. Like I think we discussed the ending of The Sopranos. Like kills me that I don't know if Tony dies or not. 2020 election, we're going to find out. We can find out what happened there. MLK, we can find out. Or JFK, we can find that out. The 2020 election, I said we can. aliens, I don't think we're ever going to really find out or get firm evidence that they exist. Or
I think we will find out some things the government knows. And it'll be the government knows that. Interesting.
But they can tell you one
it's
thing if you don't see it with your own eyes.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like they've lied to us about so many things in the past. Like what tells us they're not lying about damn aliens?
Yeah. Well, we have, somebody that Americans trust more than people previously. I just don't know. We'll just have to see. But we're going to find. I was talking to John Solomon down at CPAC. We asked him, you were there. We asked him, it's like, how many of these people are going to jail? What level of accountability? And he says, well, you have to be pragmatic and realistic. Most of these people will escape justice.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to find it all out. So everybody's going to know. And that's justice in a way. It might be what we have to settle with. I don't know. But we're going to have to find out because they're going after Comey now. They're going after all of these pharmaceutical people. They're going after the election integrity problems. They're literally going after everything.
Yep. I think I got Solomon on the show on Friday. He'd be another good person for you to have on the show. He told us, like you said at CPAC, that the files are going to start to come out. His final day in office, President Trump's final day in office in 2020, Lou Dobbs and John Solomon were on calls all day long and to release the Russiagate documents and to declassify them. And President Trump declassified them. Somehow we never got them released. They literally went off into the atmosphere and we never saw them. So if you got any questions.
You said you had a theory on that. I thought you had some knowledge on that.
Well, they were given to Mark Meadows, President Trump's former chief of staff. And then I think he gave them right back to the FBI. So.
And then the FBI is like, okay.
Well,
thank you.
Back in the file cabinet, these things go. And they're probably
fortuitous turn of events. All of a sudden, after years and years and years, no, you really have to release the JFK files this time. Yep. Oh, we found thousands of more of them. Oopsie.
Yeah, like 2,500 more that they're just hiding somewhere. I mean, really? But you know what? It's like the government thinks we're stupid. They think that we're idiots because we follow their mask mandates, because we allow the government to lock up thousands of political prisoners and allow them to get away with it. We allow them to overcharge political prisoners. We allow them to steal an election. We allowed them to get away with it. So, they think we're stupid. And I got to be honest with you, Mark, and I'm not advocating for violence or anything like that, or a revolt of the government or a civil war. But eventually, and I'm not saying it's going to be you or I, because it's not going to be me. Maybe it'll be you. People are going to have enough. They're going to be tired of being an experiment. They're going to be tired, just as we saw in the Civil War. People are going to be tired of being taken advantage of. They're going to take their kindness for a weakness, and they're going to eventually have enough. And the government's got to figure out where they draw the line and where the bounty line is. And like I said, for the FBI watching, I'm not advocating for this, but this is just me as a Politico speaking, that no matter how nice of a person they are, everyone has a breaking point. And they've tested us a lot over the last 4 years, over the last 8 years, and over the last 10 years. What do you think?
John, we are stupid. They spent $37 trillion. I mean, there it is. I've thought about this a lot. And I try and think about how to frame my opinions about it. Well, first off, what we know is that many people are sheep. They're not connected. They don't care. They don't have a dog in this hunt. They'll just, whatever, for whatever reason. And then we also know from past situations like this, the 3% number. It's like it literally just takes 3%. So what it comes down to is like, what's their breaking point? And what does resistance mean? Well, in this context, resistance of the 3% meant like subjugating your personal desires and working hard to run a good campaign and get people in government and leadership. That happened. So maybe that was a breaking point, because it certainly broke the Republican Party in a way I don't think the Republicans were ready for and understand right now. But I look at Trump as one step on a very clear path towards something that ends in violence. That sounded bad. Let me caveat that. Meaning, like, Trump was our next chance. And maybe it'd go good, maybe it'd go bad. But if it went bad, then there's the next step. Then there's the next step. And right now it's going good. And so that maybe means we avoid the next step. I don't know. But I think if you look for the word revolt and revolution and action and other things on Reddit right now, that's where you see it. It ain't on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Reddit. So I don't know. Now they're pushing their 3%. That's what it is.
Yeah, but the Democrats are like, the difference between them and Republicans is like, the Democrats are stupid. They're dumb. I mean, not that the Republicans aren't dumb and they're not stupid, but the Democrats are dumb. They'll just sit there and talk, and they'll talk in circles, and they'll keep talking in circles until they get tired of talking, and then they'll wake up the next morning and they'll talk. And you know what? They spew their stupid hate on social media. They spew their stupid hate at other people. I get it all day long in emails and Twitter DMs, people melting down. That's their way of getting out. Like, and they have like this passive aggressive way of wishing death upon Trump, hoping he dies every day, things like that. And you saw it in some of those responses to Elon Musk about the person who says that, I thought about you dying or whatever all day as my 5 bullet points. For them, it's a passive aggressiveness and to things to that extent. I think for the other side, it's people with genuine feelings, people who express their opinion vocally and in force. January 6th, people were out there. I don't know what the official numbers were, hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the people who went into the Capitol. I'm not talking about the people who broke windows and things like that. I'm talking about the people who were there at the Ellipse. I was there working for Fox Business, and I could not see President Trump with the naked eye. He was that far away. There was that many people in trees. I mean, just slew of people. And that, I think, is the difference between the two sides, is the Republicans, the conservatives, and it's not even Republicans and conservatives. It's the Trump wing of the party. Show up in numbers, show up in force, and display their affection that way. Whereas, like I said, the other side sit behind a computer on Reddit wishing death upon people. Like, dude, you're a troll. It probably looks like Dan Crenshaw, 5'7", just a little puke who would never say anything to anybody to their face. I'm not saying violence. I'm just saying being a man.
It's super weird in that, like, it feels like those Reddit people who, again, we all acknowledge many of them are bots or LARPers or feds or whatever, but they weren't the core. They were like the enforcement arm of a certain component of the ideological, like, offshoot. And then there was Core Democrat, and Core Democrat was like, it's her turn, progressive, blah, 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 which is all luxury beliefs and is well and good until it hits the fan. And so if you took like Democrats and Republicans and they were actually kind of equal, I think the product that Trump has given MAGA is more palatable than the product that Democrats are currently giving Democrats. And that's why they're not motivating anybody except the loonies. And Trump has exactly the product that people wanted, which is somebody to fix this stuff. And that's the trap they're in. I don't think they know how to fix that. They have to have a product that's better than, this is just a standard Democrat with a party that doesn't mean anything. They mean literally nothing, because Kamala Harris was out there, and for instance, she said, "Oh yeah, that's a great idea. We're going to have no tax on tips."
I mean,
every single Democrat voted against that thing. Every single Democrat.
That, I say this often because I feel like we're being trolled. I felt for the longest time we were being trolled. That was one of the dumbest things. I mean, I don't know how she ever comes back out and runs again. Do you think people forget? Like, do you think people come out now and forget, like, how dumb she was and how, and like, you hear from the left like, oh, America's not ready for a woman. America's not ready to, the Republicans aren't ready for a woman of color. No, it has nothing to do with that. Like, there's plenty of women who are qualified, right, for the job, and has absolutely nothing to do with that. I mean, Hillary Clinton received a ridiculous number of votes from the American people, and not just from the Democrats, from the Republican side too. So it has nothing to do with that. We had our first black president, so, the notion that America is not ready for a woman is just so ridiculously stupid. Put someone forward who's worth a while. Put someone forward who didn't delete 33,000 emails, Mark. Put someone forward who can put together a formidable sentence with a triple-digit IQ. There's plenty of them out there. It just so happens you guys keep going back to the same melting pot of idiots.
Yeah, they made it about not politics for so long. It's been about star power. And none of the policies recently have made any sense. And so they've put themselves in a horrible trap. We talk about Trump and how what he went through kind of overlays the hero's journey and stuff like that. But you have to marvel at the really stupid decisions of the Democrats and how they essentially got Trump to this situation as well. Like, for instance, if they hadn't had their Barack Hussein Obama that ran on empty glitz and then turned out to be kind of bad, voters still say he's great, but that's because they're comparing him to like Biden and Carter, and like Clinton still looked at pretty well, but that was a long time ago. So if they hadn't run on an empty candidate, then the empty candidate might have worked this time. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, and then they had Biden, so it's like the experience doesn't work. They literally like played every card they had, and then Trump came in at the end. They had nothing left. They had to steal an election. It's like crazy.
The crazy thing, and Tony Schaefer says he's going to come out. By the way, we're at our highest number of viewers of the night on our end over here on Dobbs Media. So,
oh, cool.
People are enjoying this late night poll POLE talk.
Who else?
I'm trying. I just had a Biden moment. I completely forgot what the hell I was saying.
Oh, I have them all the time.
I got so caught up in the poll talk.
He's going to be the governor of California. We were talking about Harris.
I think there's a possibility.
Strong front runner. She's polling in the 50s. Gavin Newsom's podcast that he's launching is not going to work.
Yeah, no, because you know why, Mark? It's because people have already heard their bullshit. The Democrats. Like I say this every day on my show. There's a reason why I have millions of people who come watch the show a month. It's because they're hungry for news. They're hungry for commentary. And I sit there and I put everything I put out every day, and the same thing you put everything out that's based on numbers, right? You have statistics to back everything up. We don't come out here and say things that we know are just not true. We'll come out here with the story, and if the story ends up being untrue, we correct it for what it is. But these people just keep peddling the same bullshit, thinking that people are once again stupid, and they're starting to wake up. If you want to pull up the numbers, because you're a numbers guy, of the shift in voters from Democrat to Republican in New York, from this election to the last election, it's in the millions. If you want to pull up the numbers from California, from this election to last election, the shift is in the millions. If the Republicans are smart, they'll put up a candidate in California, and no, it's not Caruso. No, it's not one of these guys. Same thing with Jersey. If you guys are serious about winning, Jack Ciattarella is not going to win for you. He's a rhino, lazy man. You guys need to put up serious candidates. And I was talking with Grant Cardone about this. If he's seriously interested in running for governor of California, I'll give up my show if I have to, and I will go work to make sure he wins California, because it's that important to me for those people out there, because they deserve it. And I'd hope someone would come do the same thing in New York. But they're going to have to put up a candidate who's worth a while, someone who could hold their own. Like I said, Grant Cardone in California, I think would be brilliant. A man who can win that seat. The go along, the get along, to play along thing has got to stop inside the Republican Party, Mark. It happens all over local races, and people don't realize it. But at the local level, Mark, It's horse trading all day long.
Yeah.
You don't put up a candidate in your district, a Democrat. I won't put up a Republican in my district. One hand washes the other, and we move on. It's gotta stop.
Smash mouth, as Steve Bannon would say. It's got to be smash mouth. And I've seen some of the New Jersey Republican stuff, and it's not smash mouth.
No.
It's keeping their head down, doing the same stuff over and over again, not running on principles. Oh yeah. Newsom podcast will be worth it just to watch the chat. It'll be brutal. Newsom's going to spend more money on moderators than I spend on polling in an entire year, is my guess.
You know why? Because they can't get out of their own way, Mark. I could understand if there was roadblocks in the way, but these people literally trip over their own shoes with no shoelaces. It's unbelievable. Like, if you think about political spinning, right? I hate to use this as an example, but it happens. If Newsom wanted to spin the wildfires, Mark, he could have spun it into his own favor. He could have said mistakes were made. He could have thrown somebody under the bus. He could have worked with Trump or figured out something to make the situation better, right? There's ways to spin things, and it happens in politics all day long. Is it right? No, it's not right. But that's just what it is. But these people can't get out of the way of themselves. Kathy Hochul, congestion pricing. You have a politician coming out saying on the record, I'm in favor of charging hardworking New Yorkers and New Jerseyans X amount of money if you want to drive through the city. Who the hell says that out loud, Mark? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What's that?
There is good news, in my opinion. This is some of the best news that I saw today, and I couldn't. You brought it up. You're absolutely 100% right about California, and he should have thrown Karen Bass under the bus because she was incompetent and she caused people's deaths and blah blah blah. And is it because she was personally responsible? No, it's because the buck stops here.
Exactly.
The freaking buck stops here. And this was one of the most appalling things I think that I saw in the entire Biden administration. When I was in the Navy, if my captain was asleep on the submarine and I was officer of the deck up on the sail while we were surfaced and I just bumped the buoy, that guy was probably getting fired because that's just what happens. Something happens on your watch and the buck stops here. Not one single military leader was fired for the Afghanistan withdrawal that killed 13 people, wounded many more, killed many Afghanis, left all those billions of dollars. Not one single person was fired. And in my opinion, that proves to me that we have no military readiness. A military that's incapable of holding people accountable can't fight a war. It just can't. And so Karen Bass should have resigned.
Yeah.
She should have resigned. Her political career should have been over. And it happens like every single one of these people. Eric Swalwell, Fang Fang, that should have been so embarrassing. It ended his political career.
In a perfect world, that happens, Mark. If you're a Republican, that happens. If you're Al Franken, I guess it happens. But the voters are just too damn stupid. And I think someone in the comments had said the same thing. The voters don't care. It's like the fool me once, fool me twice thing. These people come back to the same. Governor Cuomo should have never resigned. And I'm not saying it from a political standpoint that I supported him, because I don't. The man's a criminal with how many people he killed in nursing homes. But he's an idiot for resigning. He would have never got impeached. He could have called their bluff. He could have run for re-election, Mark, and he would have won again because the voters are that stupid. They keep going back to these same corrupt politicians. Eric Adams will win re-election, even though he's a crook. I mean, the voters don't care. And, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But until people start to wake up and realize, and as my dad used to tell me, smell the coffee, nothing's going to change. Everything is going to be business as usual. Same old bullshit.
I guess it's easier to just pay the media to muddy the waters. That way you get to keep your career. But unfortunately, there's a real human cost to it, and this is just one of them. The risk of civil war. I bring this up so many times, I should probably bookmark it. But we got up to 41% of U.S. likely voters last year thinking that we would be it a civil war in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's because this is clown world. This is a result of clown world. When you divide people into two different reality sets that don't work together and keep them divided and balkanized, and then victimize people and attack them and turn people into villains. This is the intel agency color revolution playbook that was played on its own people. People need to be held accountable, but I think Twitter is probably like the first step towards healing, hopefully.
I pray to God that people wake up, Mark, and realize the destruction these Democrats do to our country. You know, it's all across the board, whether it be abortion, whether it be unnecessary taxation, whether it be the crime in cities, whether it be the schooling systems in cities. You don't have to take my word for it. And I say this all the time, and I'm like a broken record. Don't take my word for it. I tell you, go out and do your own research. Go look at standardized testing scores in deep blue areas. Go look at standardized testing scores in areas that are run by Marxist Dems and fueled by Marxist Dems. They're among some of the lowest numbers we've ever seen in this country. So what are we up against, Mark? I mean, eventually there's going to be a day where there's going to be nobody to run a Fortune 500 company. It's going to be someone from India. It's going to be maybe someone from Mexico.
Yeah, I've seen how that works in the big Fortune 500s, and I don't think that's a solution necessarily either. It takes a lot of introspection and diligence and humility to be a leader with integrity, and we just literally don't have enough. We don't have enough of it. Worldwide, it's a pretty starved resource. And unfortunately, the only way to get it fast is through the crucible of a horrifying crisis. And I hope we don't have to do that. But
I mean,
history has showed us. What's that?
How do you get out of this?
Well, just like talking earlier, our society is changing very rapidly based on these stimuli. 5 years ago, people would still watch mainstream media news or read Axios or like BuzzFeed or, and they would now it's like people are literally watching multi-hour long streams talking about these issues because it affects everybody. And I think that's out of like desperation and necessity. The cultural zeitgeist went from Marvel movies to YouTubers crapping on Marvel movies in like 4 years. And that's not because the Marvel movies, quite frankly, were that bad.
Yeah.
It's because the culture shifted so fast and it was better content.
Right.
It's better content to call people hacks and liars than it is to watch a mediocre product.
That's another one, Mark, that's so mind-blowing to me. You've got, in Disney, you've got probably the smartest CEO, what it was, Iger, to run that company in forever. Just a brilliant business mind. But when it came to like street smarts and common sense, the man is dumb as dirt. You put out the first movie, with these trannies or whatever, or woke garbage for kids, you realize it's a flop. Okay, that's one. Then you put out another one. Okay, that's a flop. You should realize as a businessman, like, I'm not going down with this burning ship. If you want to fire me, go ahead and fire me. But I'm not going to allow this to happen because there's corporate and fiscal responsibility, Mark. You know that when it comes to shareholders and shareholder responsibility. And I would have wished to see more shareholder lawsuits from folks who are massive shareholders of Disney and these other things, just on base sheer incompetence and irresponsibility, playing with their money. People trade billions and billions of dollars in stocks every day for these companies to be playing games like this. Disney has taken a massive hit. Nike has taken massive hits for the woke garbage they've done. Go look at all these woke companies. They've all gotten hammered, Mark.
Yeah. And well, most of the leaders are still there. I think Iger's not really stepping down because of performance considerations. I was trying to find the Chris Rufo tweet. He basically said that after Obama, the NSA and the CIA just like went whole hog, full diversity, completely changed their cultures, completely got rid of all work, realigned everything on divisive gender garbage. And that's the problem, is that it looks like that happened to some extent in many major companies, including Disney. So even if Bob Iger wanted to change, it's like, well, you just destroyed your corporate culture. It's incapable of putting out a product that is culturally relevant. And they literally can't do it. Like a 25-year-old Redditor doesn't understand the hero's journey. It doesn't understand. Could you imagine one of them trying to write like a sophisticated political drama about the stuff that we're going through right now? It would literally be impossible.
Yeah.
Like asking a pig to fly. It's like impossible.
Yeah.
That's what they did. They just went full force at this thing. It wasn't, oh, we need to cater to the modern audience. It was like, we need to fire all of our old white men, and the modern audience needs to be our workforce.
And who thought that was a good idea? It's like, who thought
the
of these
consultants
things?
that were getting millions of dollars? I guess, like, that's the only thing I got. The ESG score people, right? I don't know. It's sick.
I would have thought, after seeing, and we're talking to Disney, I've got a piece of paper here written down, Doomcock, Tony Schaefer. I've got to start watching that.
Oh no, don't bring that up.
But I would have thought after you saw the first company, the second company do it, like these other idiots would have woken up. And what's crazy is, like, you look over in like China, and they're using slave labor to manufacture iPhones and AirPods and computers, and they want to be like woke Inc. As they're using literal slave labor to assemble. Same thing with Nike, and the rest of these corporations who do business with China.
You said it, so I had to bring it up. So this was a funny story from CPAC, everybody. And I got a lot of flack for it. But I was talking to Tony Schaefer, and we were talking about entertainment YouTubers, and I go on Valiant Renegade. I've been on Jeremy's show. I've been on some other shows. And it's just because politics and entertainment are kind of linked, as Andrew Breitbart would tell us. And so Tony Schaefer goes on Doomcock streams, apparently, and I haven't, but I watch him because he's got some hilarious stuff to say. And it is what it is, I guess we'll say.
The story goes up a little bit further. What does this guy call himself? The leader of the free world or something?
No, a future ruler of Earth.
Future ruler of Earth. So Tony Schaefer takes out his phone and shows us the contact, and he's got him in his phone as Doomcock, future ruler of the world, and I abused Tony up until yesterday. That I cannot believe such a smart man would have such an absurd contact in his phone. And
Politics makes strange bedfellows, John.
Tony doubles down and says he loves him, and I'm like, you know what, Tony? I've got to stop. I got to start watching this guy because, and me and Rich.
It's hilarious. But what's funny is like Tony's an old school black ops,
right?
Like, probably murdered many, many, many terrorists. Able Danger, like government whistleblower, like, and he goes on Doomcock's live stream. I love it. It's hilarious.
I think someone in the chat needs you to explain what Doomcock is. They're very confused.
Oh, where are we at? Who is it? Yeah.
JC?
Yeah, random. Well, it's strange times. Doomcock is a entertainment YouTube streamer / analyst, and he is Disney focused, so much so that the Reddit and Tumblr writers of the She-Hulk series even put like an insert of him as the main enemy in that multi-hundreds of millions of dollars series. And so that shows you how dangerous being exposed as frauds is for these big corporations. He basically lives in Walt Disney's head rent-free. And I think if people haven't heard this explained, I think Donald Trump created his platform, formed a movement, had a good first advance, but was turned by the enemy. And then in that period, because of the work that Trump and his supporters had done, there was a window in which a lot of other people that aren't political won a culture war, pushing back against what was happening in gaming and entertainment. And he's one of them. And so I think that in some immeasurable way, it helped Trump win this time around, which is really wild because they literally just crap on Disney all day.
Oh, I can't believe you watch that stuff. It's great. That's so great. There's just certain things you can't picture some people doing. And when Tony Schaefer sits down as we're having a beer and starts talking about this guy Doomcock, and your eyes just light up like a kid in a damn candy store. You're like, you watch Doomcock? And I'm like, what the hell? Me and Rich Valdez look at each other like, the hell are they talking about? And then the other guy from Quantum Polo, he doesn't know what the hell we're talking about either. And we're like,
oh, he was totally lost.
Yeah, we all were.
Yeah.
And then you start talking about voice changers, and me and Rich are like, what the hell are Mitchell and Tony watching?
Guilty as charged. Always looking for something new to watch.
I don't know how you find the time because you work probably harder than me.
Oh, I just play stuff while I'm working. Polling is very solitary stuff. Very.
I guess that beats hearing the dog barking, right?
Yeah, I wonder where the dog is.
Mike walked into the studio. He saw I was working, and he walked back out. He's starting to learn to know his boundaries.
Come on.
Big old golden retriever.
Turn my mic off and call her. Nah.
Bring her on like Dr. Evil.
Cute dog.
A little rat. What do they call those things? Rat dogs?
Jack Russell Terrier.
I'm looking at something right now. A picture of Megyn Kelly. It's sort of crazy to me. What's your take on Megyn Kelly? She went full anti-Trump, and now is like somehow managed to huckster her way back into the Trump world because she got fired from news outlets after going anti-Trump. Now all of a sudden she's back to being pro-Trump. It's like you've never liked this guy in your life. You tried to humiliate him on a debate stage. He in turn humiliated you, which caused a massive divide between Donald Trump and Rupert Murdoch.
Oh yeah, he did.
Oh, if you got the clip, I mean, it was. It was perhaps one of his best. As a man who's blocked by Rosie O'Donnell on Twitter, I think it's so just brilliant what he did to her because she tried to ruin him. She literally.
Do you remember Megyn Kelly opening question where he kind of goes like this? And when he's doing this, everybody's
he's
got
loading up the guns.
When somebody's like, your hand goes like this, they're about to swing. When he goes like this, that means it's coming, right? Watch his shoulders tonight when he goes like this. He wants to say
That's
something.
his tail, like in poker.
That's Trump's tail, right?
Mr. Trump, one of the things people love about you is you speak your mind and you don't use a politician's filter. However, that is not without its downsides, in particular when it comes to women. You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs,
watch your shoulders,
and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account.
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't.
Oh my goodness!
He just won the election right there.
Do you remember?
I mean,
we're not going to replay it.
the look on her face, and I wasn't working at Fox at the time. I wish I was, but the look on her face was just pure embarrassment, pure defeat. But she literally set herself up. She was maybe the start of the anti-Trump movement, which allowed the media to go ahead and do what they've done. This very well orchestrated, coordinated attack on him for the last 10 years. So anyway, she goes through that whole transition, leaves Fox News, goes to, I think it's NBC, becomes this woke woman, Rhino, gets fired from there, does her Sirius XM show, and then all of a sudden is like back in the good graces. And I think Tucker Carlson was the one who brought her back into the mainstream. Now all of a sudden she's like MAGA, and MAGA world loves her. Like, hello.
Yeah. Well, let me first say that it was beautiful how immediately defeated she was there, because the second he said those words, the crowd was his.
Oh,
he tried to like interject, and that was just like an insta kill. That was an insta kill. JD Vance is our vice president. So I guess people can have a redemption arc. And I give him a little bit more benefit of the doubt because I know he came from an apolitical place where there are certain incentives to have been anti-Trump. And I guess she did that as well. She was in a place where there were incentives to be anti-Trump. I guess like I can understand how people, I've seen it. Like I've seen smart people get taken up by the culture and how everybody thinks around them. And I try not to be that guy. And I think I've been pretty successful, but I think we're in a situation now where it's hard to have a really big audience like she does without being authentic. So I think it's fair to say that maybe she had some kind of reimagining. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like she was a lot faker when she was on network. And now she seems like she believes what she's talking about. I guess is the way I would put it nicely.
Huh. It's interesting. Because I mean,
I don't feel like I think I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. I don't think you're a liar until you lie to me. And I don't know, maybe I'm good at telling if people, I don't think she's lying. That's all. Like, that's tough to talk for hours a day without people figuring out who you are.
What if I told you I was going to pay you $20 million to do that?
Well,
I mean, news anchors
is she signed on with somebody or is she independent?
Yeah, I think she's with SiriusXM.
Oh, right.
I mean, news anchors are professionals, man. They're paid actors, is what they are.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd argue with half the staff at Fox who are on talent on news are not Trumpers, and they go out there, each and every day, and they kiss his feet. But behind the scenes, they go and say different things. And I say this again, don't take my word for it. Go read the depositions of Smartmatic and Dominion. They're public information for you. Go and read those depositions and see what these anchors were saying behind the scenes. I'm not going to say any names, but you might be very surprised about some of your favorite conservative news anchors and what they had to say. Now, I sat in like hours and hours of depositions, so I got to see what the great Lou Dobbs was saying, and you won't be surprised to know that everything Lou Dobbs said and preached was the same thing that he said on air. But you'd be very surprised reading through these depositions about who's still on Fox, who left Fox, and has a very big audience and didn't believe elections were stolen. What would you say if I told you, Mark, that Sean Hannity doesn't believe the election was stolen? You'd probably tell me I'm crazy, right?
Well,
don't take my word for it.
No, yeah.
At the end of the day, what it is, Mark, is they're acting.
Let's just put it this way. I canceled cable on November 4th, 2020. So it's like at a certain point. Yeah, I think, yeah, it's hard for me to trust anybody reading a teleprompter. I think at the end of the day is what it comes down to.
It's true, unless they're writing their own stuff. The MAGA movement has brought out the best and the worst of people, Mark. It's just what it is. It's really brought out hucksters. You often tell me stories from AmFest, which is the thing you went to about people you meet. People down there, people over at CPAC. It's the same thing. It's people who go to make money. It's people who go to make opportunities, and it's people who go to take pictures. It's a whole just massive ass kissing fest of who can. It's a race to the bottom.
There is a lot more demand than there is supply for what the conservative movement is selling. Yeah, I think. And that's caused a problem for sure. And hopefully now it's writing. I think the Trump administration and team is very good about drawing a perimeter around good actors. Maybe not 100%, but better than they were for sure, right?
Yeah.
But then, like the rest of it, it's all independent. And I guess there's an audience for everybody. I don't know. We'll see if Gavin Newsom has an audience.
Yeah, I mean, there's people making millions of dollars off of it who hate the man's guts. It's like mind blowing. But that I bring that up is because you had said, I think Megyn Kelly's genuine. Well,
maybe she's just really good. I don't know.
Oh, there's no doubt she's good. She's been in this business for 20 or 30 years. These aren't, Mark, these aren't people you hire off this. These aren't scalawags. I mean, these are people who are trained professionals who predominantly are phonies. They say one thing on air and the camera's off and they're complete different people. Don Lemon. Who the hell knew Don Lemon was doing all the crazy things he was doing? Okay. Matt Lauer. We watched Matt Lauer for how many years? I watched him growing up for how many years? Did you ever think Matt Lauer had a damn lock under his desk where he locked the doors when women came into his office? No. So, some people get a bad rep, some people get a good rep, but, the overwhelming majority of these people in these positions are just not good people.
Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely.
Yeah. You give them a taste of it and they run with it. So I don't know how to clean this thing up. Speaking of
well, it's the crisis. It's either, society fixes itself because it needs to avoid a crisis, or the crisis fixes everything for people. But Chat brought this up. This is a big news because this is another core left asset that has been burned. And it's the Washington Post, the paper of record where in DC, where democracy dies in darkness. A paper that famously, I think, destroyed its brand by being full of shill liars. Probably has a pretty significant portion of its revenue coming from government subscriptions.
Yeah.
Has attacked Rasmussen reports multiple times for disingenuous things. And they announced major changes to their editorial page. Jeff Bezos says, you know what? I think America is about personal liberties and free markets, and that's all we're going to do now in our opinion column. And the head of editorial promptly quit. So this is beautiful. This is like more shrieking from within the halls of a mainstream media paper. And a lot of these people get paid a lot of money, and they're probably going to bounce and try and scratch out a living like Taylor Lorenz on Blue Sky. And they're losing their power. This is,
That's the thing. It's I don't know what these people make. I don't know what they make in television. I was constantly reminded by Lou Dobbs about radio, and he'd remind me how much money I was being paid. And he'd say, and do you know how much those people in radio are making? And I'd say, no, Lou, how much? And he goes, half of what you're making. So I don't know, it was a way of bargaining, but as a whole, it's not a lot of money in television. It's not a lot of money in print. It's not a lot of money in radio. It's not enough money to raise your family on. That's for sure. Unless you're one of the lucky ones, unless you're able to monetize something on your own. But these people don't make nearly enough money. And I learned when I was at Fox, most of the production teams, Mark, are like Democrats. Most of the producers who write the content are Democrats.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't be able to go out there.
Manhattan.
What's that? Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be able to go out there, to your point, I wouldn't be able to go out there every day and write stories about how Donald Trump's so great when I hate the guy. Yeah, so what was his job? What was his title?
Head of editorial. Grok's estimating low here. I'm sure he's over 200 base. He's got to be.
Head of editorial. What would that be equivalent in television?
Totally different thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, above an executive producer. I'd say that's probably on par.
This would be like a VP of communications or something like that at a Fortune 500. Those people are getting 500 to $1 million, probably.
Not newspaper.
No, I'm just saying, like, an equivalent functional head at a large corporate who's a VP is getting significantly more than this.
So it says in New York, the average for an editorial director is 114 to 145. Now you think about it, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for some people, but to be running a department, I always look at it in the grand scheme of things, right? Like how much power do you have? And how much money is the company making? And how much is your boss making? And things like that. In the grand scheme of things, when you're the man calling the editorial content and your boss is a billionaire, to be paying you $145,000 a year, it's a slap in the face, in my opinion. You know, when you're the man who holds the keys to the car.
Yeah, he could bounce. Yeah. I'm sure he was highly sought after, and he's getting a lot more than that. Let me look up. I can look up Washington Post on Glassdoor and see if he actually reported a salary.
That's what overdues here.
How are we doing on time? It's past midnight.
Yeah, it is. We still have a nice audience over here.
Yeah.
I've got my cousin Danny tuned in from Miami, Florida.
I thought this would be a 1 hour show. Not tonight. I'm just saying, like when I started the shows.
When have you and I ever got on a stream together and gone for an hour?
Yeah, true. True statement.
Doesn't work.
All right, what do we got here? What do we got? Salaries. Sort by high.
Okay, so VP, he's below that. What was his role?
I don't know. He's probably like an executive director or could be VP level. Like director of products, this is all like their digital stuff.
Yeah, but these are the people that make the wheels go around. Editorial guys are.
Yeah, he's probably getting something in the high twos all in.
Seems a bit hot.
Who knows?
It doesn't matter. Whatever he was making, he was overpaid. He could have been making $30,000 a year. He was overpaid.
Bezos was losing $177 million on the Post. Whatever they made, it was too much.
I didn't even see what you said, but yeah, I agree with you.
Crazy. And now they're going to lose more money because what's going to happen is their reporting's not going to moderate. They're still going to use the same keywords and tricky phrases. They're going to say undocumented migrant instead of legal alien, even though most Americans use the word illegal. And that puts people off. And then their editorial content's going to piss off the liberals. And so they're going to lose more people because Jeff Bezos just didn't do what he needs to do, which is send Doge in there. He needs to build a Doge team and say, listen, my paper got taken over by extreme radicals and it needs to be culled, ruthlessly culled. And I think a lot of companies need the Doge treatment. And I think maybe that will become a key part of what, the corporates always have crazes. Everybody has black belts and liens all over the place and stuff like that. Yeah, I need to productize Doge and replace Agile or something with whatever. That's what you got to do.
I don't even know why. I guess you do it for the power aspect of why you even buy it in the first place, the Washington Post. But nobody nobody reads print.
Stealth lobbying,
He's in like a total measuring contest with Elon Musk too. He's like so jealous of Elon Musk. I never liked Mark Zuckerberg, but Mark Zuckerberg at the inauguration was just absolutely hysterical. Checking out Jeff Bezos' wife. Just like blatantly obvious. What are you doing, man?
Yeah, that was unfortunate for him.
I mean, it was just such a crazy dais of people, man. You've got Mark Zuckerberg, you've got the guy from Google, Siddharth, whatever his name is, Elon Musk there. I mean, it was just a crazy layout of people. You've got Mark Zuckerberg there.
I think the jealousy is probably a real thing. It's a certain point you have is like he's built a ton of successful companies and has all the money he wants. And it's like, well, if this all succeeds, like Elon Musk is going to be founding father level of famous.
He already is, in my opinion.
Yeah, you can't buy that, Jeff Bezos. Can't buy that.
Yeah.
Think of it like the access. Again, if they cut $1 trillion out of the deficit and throw all the insane people out of government and restore trust in our institutions, we could be in a situation where people are begging MAGA cabinet people, like politicians, you know what I mean? Like, it could be beating down their door. It could be a complete political realignment. It's crazy. And it's like, well, if you just hadn't been a schmuck, Jeff Bezos, that could have been you.
Yeah. But he's constantly Blue Origins is his rocket company. I mean, obviously nowhere in comparison. I'll be impressed with Jeff Bezos when he can land a rocket on his tail, let alone land a rocket in a cradle. You know? Come on, Jeff. Come on, man. Elon's just, he's got like, there's something about him, man. He's got like just a whole FU attitude, not an FU attitude, but like just everything's nonchalant, you know, like everything's cool, like everything's whatever. Whereas you got Bezos, who's just like, you can tell, like so uptight and so jealous of just everyone, you know? That's why I love Elon Musk.
Trump will tax cut away. Balance the budget is way more important. We need the revenue. Yeah, I don't know where the bill's at. I haven't been really following it that much. Too much.
Well, it passed the House, the budget.
It was the House bill that passed, yeah. Not the
House
Senate.
bill passed, now it goes to the Senate for those rhinos. But it seems that John Thune has got these folks in line and
Color me very surprised.
Yeah, me too. They're all acting pretty well behaved for the time being. But you can always expect a few of them to step out of line. John Cornyn, who hopefully is going to get primaried by Ken Paxton. Murkowski, Collins. That's, you know, I don't know. Are those everywhere, or is that just a Northeast thing?
Anybody listening from the Midwest or Southwest or California?
Please tell us if your Toys R Us mysteriously turns into a Spirit Halloween store for a few months a year. By the way, have you ever like read into how these guys do it?
Spirit Hall, I'm sure they have a finely honed process.
Yeah.
You know what's fascinating? I didn't know too much about Spirit Halloween, but I was chatting with Grok, let's just put it that way. And I was marveling at the fact that our FAA has like 55,000 employees.
I didn't know it was that many.
Like an awful lot. Now, there's a lot of workers distributed across the nation and airports doing stuff, right? But last time I was at Newark, I'm not kidding, I sat there and counted. I saw 14 workers, and not the security guys, like other people, you know, just literally standing there, not doing anything. So we're definitely overstaffed, but 55,000 people is the size of a pretty, you know, like moderate size rural city. And so I said, hey, Grok, like, tell me the name of a company that everybody knows that's got about 55,000 employees. And it said Spirit Halloween.
Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So it's like all of that spent on aviation safety.
So here, you want to hear something? Because I just had to look this up. As a pilot myself, I was curious. There's 264 air traffic controllers in 46 states, operated by 3 contractors and the Air National Guard. That's sort of interesting. So then I went to look and see how many air traffic controllers are. And it says there's about 14,000 who are air traffic controllers.
That seems high.
So, well, you figure 256. I'm not going to do math in public here because it'll be embarrassing. 256 times. Yeah, it's a little bit high. 6. You probably have 3 rotations, so maybe like 15 per tower. 6 towers times 15 people. Yeah, it's a bit high. That's definitely a bit high. But you know, in New York, So you have those towers, but then you also have like TRACON centers where like they handle different issues with their air traffic controllers. But even then, you got 14,000 air traffic controllers. What are the other 40,000 people, or whatever it is, 56,000? What are the other 40,000 people doing for it? So like people crying about Donald Trump firing 400 of them. I want to know what the other 40,000 of them are doing.
I don't know. Are they like unionized airport baggage security checkers that are
No, that's the
overstaffed by
TSA.
3X?
That's the TSA.
Geez, does the TSA roll up into the, or is it part of Homeland?
TSA is part of Homeland.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if they're unionized either, but that also doesn't take into account, Mark. There's some air traffic control towers that there's no controller. It's actually kind of cool.
Man, imagine the heads blowing up when we say that we're going to cut our aviation safety staff by like 50%.
Well, yeah, people's heads will blow when you tell them that there's air traffic control towers that there's no controllers there. And there's air traffic control towers where commercial planes land where there's no controllers. If it scares you even a little bit more, take that one. The Hamptons. I think East Hampton Airport, there's no air traffic control tower.
The hits keep coming, John. The hits keep coming. Wall Street Journal. Senator Grassley launches inquiry into United Healthcare's Medicare billing practices.
This is for Luigi.
This is for we're helping Luigi. Luigi, the hero.
Did you see Luigi told people stop sending him letters? Too much.
No, I didn't. I did not see that.
Okay, you're a search man. Luigi walked into court, I guess this past week, and he's wearing these brown loafers. Apparently, it was like the most searched thing on the internet that day of what kind of shoes this kid was wearing. Can you imagine, Mark? Like, this is crazy.
They're going to turn him. It's going to be like an O.J. Simpson level thing, and they're doing it to normalize political violence. That's what I can see what they're doing.
There you go. I know you're a big searcher, a big Google guy.
14,000% Google search spike.
Did they tell us what kind of they are?
Oh, won't let me zoom in.
Oh no, you could probably click the next one over. It's there. There you
go.
There
they are.
Bang bang.
Button up his feet. Nice.
I mean, that's just crazy. Like, that is insane.
See where they're coming from. Trends. Luigi's loafers. Never thought I'd be searching that. Never thought I'd be searching that. All right. 30 days. Nope. Oh, I said loafer singular. That's probably what I messed up.
New York.
No spike. Yeah, but this is like there's literally no spike in this. Look for Luigi. I don't know, New York Post. I'm pretty good at this. I'm calling shenanigans.
Brown loafers.
This is going to be overwhelmed by like when it was. Luigi, this is when his hearing was.
Again,
New York and DC. New York and DC leading the searches for Luigi. All blue states, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Maryland. I mean, it's also like Northeast, Connecticut, Massachusetts. I guess the proximity. Oh, a breakout search. Here we go. Luigi loafers and Luigi ankles.
Oh, so Luigi loafers is right.
Hot ankles. That's not a breakout search. Google's messing with us. Oh, well, here we go. Yes. I guess New York Post. What's that?
Does it show you how many people?
No, it's not absolute. It's relative. It's an index. Yep, that's a breakout search volume, all right.
Wow.
There it is.
What a world we live in.
Hawaii and New York. Oh boy. In Idiocracy, everyone wore the same shoes. Will everyone start wearing those? I guess. They're pretty good looking shoes.
Summer's around the corner.
I wear almost entirely Converse. Whatever. I'm a pragmatist. It's scraping the barrel bottom. I think what he's telling us is that the content. Are you telling us the content's not fresh, or are you saying like?
I think he's
this
saying
is a
the people that are.
Oh yeah. They That's I got it.
Oh no, he's doing it again.
I'm doing it. Lorazepam.
I talked about this today. Naomi thought it was brilliant.
Did?
Yes, she did.
I
told her I'm an unofficial pollster for Rasmussen.
Deputized.
Fact. Lorazepam is LORAZEPAM.
There it is. Okay, wow. There's a mysterious bump here in national searches for lorazepam. That's weird. That's super strange. Where's it coming from, folks? That's where it's coming from. Massive uptick in searches for lorazepam in Washington, D.C. Why is that? That's super weird.
Hold on. 6 days ago. Huh.
Yeah, started February 12th.
Interesting. Yeah, the people there are losing their minds. I mean,
deviancy.
Downwards, yeah. There's definitely a trend happening in DC right now. I mean, overall, it just seems like the place is dead. I mean, we were out to lunch last week there, and remember that knucklehead next to the table came and started, heckling a little bit.
Yeah.
Telling us how bad Trump is. Orange Man is bad.
But where are we going? Alexandria?
Where's
we moving?
Where's the really rich area? McLean is the really rich area. McLean. Virginia.
Pop up, go away.
Maybe is it Mick or McLean?
Hello, why are you hard? Oh, well, I can just see.
McLean.
There it is.
There you go.
Oh, that's a lot of houses.
I mean, this is where the rich of the rich live there. The lobbyists, the government contractors.
All right. Look at this estimate. Where's this estimate? That must be something unique to that house.
It's a nice house.
Yeah, man. If we had just, sold our souls.
Yeah.
Listed 2.1. His estimate 1.8. I don't know. I don't think you're going to get it. A lot of houses on the market in the millions.
Yeah, see how long they're on the market for.
Oh, I know what we can do. Watch this. More.
Days on Zillow.
Is that
at the bottom?
Yeah. We want more than we want the short-term ones. I'm interested in recent price cuts though. Well, it's too soon for foreclosures.
Oh, I pray for those days.
I don't know where it was. I thought it used to have one for price cuts, but that is a lot of houses.
Yeah. Go to price. Click that little price down arrow, maybe.
No, it's not there.
But yeah, I mean, you see this. These aren't, folks, who do you think are living in these houses? We haven't seen a house for less than $1.8 million. This is just outside of DC. Where are these people making this money? You know, this isn't New York where you're in capitalist, capital of the world. This is politics country.
Oh, wow. Look at that. National searches for list house over the last 30 days. Who's leading the country? The District of Columbia, 100%. Next highest is Rhode Island at 59. And there's the trend. Incredible.
Yeah, they're running. I mean, they're running for the hills. The jobs are going to dry up, Mark. The lobbying gigs are going to dry up. The military-industrial complex, folks, it's going to dry up. And we should start seeing a housing crisis in D.C. and just outside of D.C.
Get your condos. Get your condos. It's going to be like Miami in 2007. Buy one for $30,000 and pay the HOA to carry it.
The HOA over the course of 10 years is more than the buying price. Right. Oh my goodness! I don't see any upside to it. I don't see how they possibly pull out over the next 4 years. I think bad things start to happen, very bad things, and you know what? It's happening to bad people. You know, there's probably not very many good people who are living in those $2 million houses, and I don't hate on you for living in a $2 million house. I hope everyone could afford that one day. It's the American dream, right? But how you got there is what I hate on. And if you're a lobbyist or one of these low-life scum who influence the government and influence us into wars or whatever you're lobbying for,
not
healthcare, one of these big pharma companies, you're a bad dude.
Kind of rubs me the wrong way. And I think about this a lot too when I go on Reddit. Is it like there are going to be very specific bad actors that get fired. They had it coming. I don't shed a tear for them. 95% of the people that get fired are going to be like, I'm a GS11 in the Fish and Games, commission, and I was enlisted for 10 years, and then I used my GI Bill and blah, blah, blah. And I got my job, and it's, I'm trying to make a career out of it. And the only reason I got fired is because I was probationary because I just got a promotion. And to them, I say, I'm sorry, but the government, the country needs this. And sometimes you get stuck with the short end of the stick. That's just how it happens. I apologize for you, and I know it feels bad. But when we look at Zillow, and with glee about the number of houses being listed, it's the writing of a very bad trend for a long time. And you can't feel bad about when things are going in the right direction.
The other thing is GS11's not living in a $2.5 million, $3 million house, Mark.
No, that's true. Well, his wife works for the International Republican Institute. No, I don't know. Right.
Right. But my point is these houses are going for sale aren't good folks. They're military folks. Those are the people getting laid off.
History.
You know what? Yeah. There may be a silver lining in it, Mark. You don't stay in the government to get rich. You just don't. So there may be a silver lining in it for the few good people who wind up getting laid off to go get a job in the private sector. The private sector is always hiring from government employees because they know you have some sort of influence. They know you have some sort of insider knowledge or whatever it may be. They're always hiring. So these people, pending you were a good employee, should have no problem getting a job somewhere else in the private sector.
You just put an interesting idea in my head, John. Let's see what we can do with it. Let's go to reddit.com resumes. and see if anybody recently put in a resume for review. Federal. Let's see what we got for federal recently. 7 days ago.
Environmental analyst. You just said that. Fishing and wildlife.
So is this a real? No, I guess they redacted it all. The place of work is going to be like, yeah, Fish and Games Commission, or like Army Corps of Engineers or something, right? So this person's going to go to an environmental engineering firm, I guess.
Yeah.
This is transferable. They should be able to do all right with that, right?
Yeah. Any
Tips for
engineering
feds applying for jobs in the private sector.
Senior software engineer. See, these software engineer folks, Mark, they come out and they go work for Facebook or they go work for a tech startup, and they'll make $500,000 a year. They'll make $300,000.
The bar is high, though. The bar is real high, and it comes down to if Facebook is going to consider former Fed workers cut as like a DEI target. I'm a veteran, and I can tell you they talk big about hiring vets, and they don't. Not many.
Well, that's because you're white and you got kids with a woman.
Guilty as charged.
If you had kids with another man, Mark, you'd be working wherever you wanted.
Be a neat trick. Yeah, there's nothing interesting in that one. There's probably gold here. I'm gonna mine this for salt later tonight.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of software engineer jobs and software engineer jobs coming out of the government. You're looking at a mid to lower end of a six-figure salary.
Man, all of a sudden these former feds are going to be begging for the H-1B program to get shut down. That's kind of ironic.
It's going to be brilliant. The hypocrisy of it all, Mark. The hypocrisy of it all. It all comes full circle.
John, we got to wrap. Can you think of any clip we should end on?
Did I send you any good ones?
I have, I think, 2 left of Donald Trump.
Let me see. I'm looking through my Twitter. Because
I still have to watch the octopus murders tonight still.
Oh, okay. We got a good clip. It's the second one I sent you where he's got the hats.
Yep.
Okay. This is Trump's absolute troll of the trolling of troll moves to the mainstream media, who's just filled with a bunch of liars. It's only 12:40, Mark. We could have went for another few hours.
I still got a beer to drink. And all right. Are we boom.
Give me all of them. Look. See that? Trump was right about everything. It just came in. Somebody said, I said, this was sent in by a fan. I said, I think we should make some of them, right? But we were pretty much. You want one? Are you allowed to take one? Because he'll consider it. I know him well. He's sort of a stiff. Yeah, Brian, you're not a stiff. You're sort of a stiff guy. He'll take other things, but not a free hat.
Always say yes to the president. Always say yes to the president.
Would anybody like one? Give me all of them.
I think that was Howard Lutnick. Funny story on that, Mark. I was with Trump maybe like 3-4 months ago down at his golf course. He was wearing a hat that said Trump was right about everything, and the brim was signed by himself.
Love it. Yeah, he's one of the world's best trolls. He's definitely elevated the art. Made me aspire to things that I never even thought I would want to. Well, John, great having you join me. This is John's Twitter page. Go check it out. He doesn't do Twitter much, but we're trying to get him up there. So please, what's funny is that I think you probably have more people watching than I do. Even though, wait, did you put it out on the big one?
No, it's not on the big, but
right.
it's on every other. It's on Rumble. It's on Facebook. It's on everything.
Oh, that's cool.
We've got a few hundred people.
Excellent.
100 on Rumble, and then Twitter. We've got hold on. We've got maybe like 400 people over the
Wow.
course of the platforms.
Strong.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. We had an absolute blast. That was an interesting conversation. We didn't get to aliens. But you never know where the conversation is going to lead you. It was like movies and stuff Monday night. And so if you're watching from my side, please go over and follow John on Twitter or subscribe. Also, Rumble and his YouTube channels. Lou Dobbs Media on Rumble, I believe.
Yes.
What's the YouTube one?
The Great America Show.
Cool.
The Great America Show on YouTube. The Great America Show on Instagram. Lou Dobbs Media on Rumble, and we're there each and every day, 5 days a week. Or if you listen to audio podcasts, wherever you guys get your audio podcasts, we're going to work on getting Mark on audio too, so you can listen to them in the car rides or wherever you go.
Yep, I'm trying hard to keep up with all this. Rasmussen_poll at YouTube and Twitter, and also my own account is Honest Pollster. Recently Honest Pollster. And so thanks everybody. Really appreciate everyone being here. It's really freaking wild times. And thanks so much for staying on so late. And thanks, John, for joining us. And see you everybody.